to call this thing?
I got it. Okay. Incredible, new, fantastic, astonishing, mighty, original, uncanny, sensational podcast.
I'm just going to put down infamous.
Hello and welcome to Infamous, the audio podcast. This is Brandon, or Mutilus on the forums.
And this is Parker. Go by Tweak on forums.
This is Jeremy. Hashtag Constagon Germiger / Inhumans.
Comma space Germiger.
Germiger Constagon.
Oh man, I don't think I posted the t-shirts from last week. I'm gonna have to do that later tonight. I forgot to. I got distracted. All right. So I don't think we have any announcements this week. So let's get straight into the news.
News.
All right. So first news. Pretty big news. If you wanted all your models tomorrow, the release dates have been moved around. It's not happening tomorrow. That's the short version of the news.
Hey, it's still happening tomorrow, not just tomorrow, like later tomorrow.
Right, as more tomorrows. Just go to sleep for a very long time, and it'll basically be tomorrow.
Day after tomorrow.
So, yeah.
Tomorrow's a fluid concept.
This podcast does not endorse comas in order to get releases. Feel like they happen more often, but
it's tomorrow somewhere.
Yeah. So what exactly? So it's which model sets are moving? They're moving back to May, right? Or are they moving into April?
Well, I believe the terminology they used is the March releases were delayed to the U.S. Therefore, they will be released later in either April or May.
Okay.
Is, I believe, exactly what the post said.
Okay.
But, I mean, hypothetically, it could be as early as April, could be as late as June, I think, honestly. It just depends.
Did they give a reason for it?
Pandemic shipping delays, basically.
Okay.
There's shipping delays to the U.S. because of the pandemic, and then also, there's like 22,000 U.S. zip codes had no mail for like a week.
Yeah.
Like, because of like, pandemic issues and like work labor's times and stuff. Like, I don't know that the Postal Service has ever really adjusted from like how big of a hole they were in.
Mm-hmm.
Because like the amount of increased shipping from the pandemic and everything, and then also like less workers because so many people got sick, or so many people just like think about how many postal workers, like they are actually a very high age bracket for employees,
right?
And so like some of them just retired when like the pandemic hit. Like they're just down workers, and like it's like you can just get new people,
right? And
then there's obviously like some political stuff with the mail service going on. So
yeah,
but yeah, I heard in addition to the normal stuff, like there was interrupted things in the mail chain in the U.S. because like there was like excessive outbreaks of the pandemic in like specific facilities, which slowed everything down.
And the releases that are moved, the
they did not specifically say what the releases were.
Okay.
But I think it's pretty obvious X-Force.
X-Force, right?
Because they've been teasing X-Force constantly.
So we have to wait a little bit longer for X-Force, most likely.
I mean, we'll know because it's only the U.S. releases. So it's going to be like the Angela and Enchantress thing. We're going to see the cards because people elsewhere are going to post them.
Yeah. So something to look forward to.
We just won't have models.
Yeah. Other news, speaking of X-Force, is we got a Cable panel to play. So we know a little bit more about him. And I think he surprised everybody. I think a lot of people were expecting him to be kind of a Cyclops level 4-cost. Does a few things as a hero, but it looks like he's going to have a lot more tools in his belt. So let's go. We're going to go through each one of his tools today because they kind of like each one of them is kind of crazy. So we know he has above average stamina, solid defenses, so probably looking at 3s and 4s, and then just like every kind of thing you would want right now. This is just from what Panel to Play has revealed. So, first thing we know is that he has a beam rifle, which is, his big old gun he's always got to have on the cover of every X-Force comic. And it says it has incredible range and hits hard. So what do we think that is?
It's going to be a 5.6.
Wow.
5.6. Probably with an ability.
Yeah.
like sap power or not stagger. I almost said stagger. What if shit? What am I thinking here?
Stun, maybe?
What's a good stun? Be really strong. If it was like a 5/6 with wild stunning, that's really good. I don't know. I want to circle back to the stamina and defense after we get done with this, though. But yeah, what do you guys think? I assumed it was going to be range 5 energy for 6 dice, probably with an effect of some kind. Like maybe Wild's Push, maybe? I don't know.
I don't think it'll be range 5. Those are pretty rare.
I said long range.
Yeah, but 4 is really long. I mean...
Well, I mean, Bucky's rifle's range 5. So is Hawkeye's bow is range 5. If he can't shoot as far as Hawkeye, I'm going to be real sad.
There's lots of things that don't shoot as far as Hawkeye for
all,
some fucking
all
reason.
all the rifle people are range 5.
I was actually...
We got Bucky and what's his face? Who's the other guy? Rocket are both range 5.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't see how he's not going to be range 5.
I think
it would stun me if he wasn't.
No pun intended. I think it's I think incredible range probably indicates 5, and I actually thought it was going to be a 5/5 at first until it said hits hard, and hard is in italics. I was like, crud. So either that means hits hard is 6 dice, or I think it means hits hard and, like you said, has a push ability or maybe even a throw on a wild, something like that.
It could be 5 dice with Pierce, maybe. Like I could see that too.
Yeah.
I think it hits hard. Like a 5 dice attack kind of hits hard. Like it's semantics at that point.
Right.
I just think they want his beam rifle to be a big deal, and I think that like it has been in the comics. Like when he shoots people, they die. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's not like when Cyclops hits people, they get knocked down. When he hits people, like they melt.
Also, they're drawing, I think, also primarily on the movie, and Deadpool makes a really big deal in the Deadpool sequel about like, I love this gun. This gun is so great. Just shoot him with the gun. Like when he's fighting a Juggernaut, he goes, just turn it up and hit him with the gun. Like, and
yeah,
like that.
Maybe it'll have explosion then because it does like an AOE in the movie.
Mm-hmm. So we know he's got a big gun. Apparently, also he's got the Askani-san ability, which
wait,
what?
We gotta go. You skipped over health and defense at the start.
Oh, I didn't. I mean, you go. What? All we know is his above average stamina and solid defenses. What does this mean? Like was he 6 health and 4-3-3?
Well, that's what I want to talk about. Because he has the energy shield, right? Well, I guess we could come back to this after the energy shield.
Yeah, because we're gonna see the energy shield. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's get to the energy shield then.
Okay.
So what's next?
The next his secondary attack, Askani-san, which is harkens back to the fact he was raised by the Askani warriors in the future instead of by his parents. Now they say this. They say as the techno-organic virus in his body subsides, Cable is better able to draw on his powers. And I don't know why they say that, because I don't know how his virus subsides. So I don't know if this is I don't know how they're gonna like represent that in the game somehow, or if they just mean that he can spend power to do it and that makes the virus subside. I don't know why they put that in this panel to play, because it's the first.
I think they're referencing that maybe he's getting over the virus. Like the virus used to affect him a lot more than it does currently, and not that like for a brief moment it subsides. I don't think that's what they're saying.
Yeah, at various points in Cable's mythos, he has either less organic virus or no organic virus, and in those moments, he is a monstrous psionic in potential. Like he is a telepath that knows like very little bounds in terms of telepath and telekinesis. In one comic, he throws down with the Silver Surfer, and they are fighting each other while they're obliterating mountains and buildings around them and murdering thousands of people with their fight. And they together are reconstructing all the things they're destroying simultaneous to fighting each other at the molecular level. Like that's the kind of power Cable throws around if he has no techno-organic virus. He like fights the Silver Surfer and fixes all the things they break while they fight. That's how powerful he is. But in this game, Askani-san basically is going to be an Area 2 Mystic attack that is Strength 7, and for each attack that deals damage, he removes 1 damage from himself. So if he's in the middle of a bunch of guys and pops it, he could heal, 2 or 3 damage points if he does damage to everybody.
Sorry, can you say so he heals for the damage he does on the attack?
No, he heals
And it's-
only 1. It says for
He
each
heals 1.
for each attack that deals damage, he heals 1.
Oh, right. Okay.
So
So it's not like Venom, but
No.
if he does damage, you remove 1.
Yeah, it's not even close to the power of Venom's. So
Yeah.
reliably in a game, he'll probably heal himself 2. Because if you're popping an Area 2 Mystic Attack and you're spending the
know,
power
yeah.
for it, you're probably getting 2 people. But maybe every once in a while he'll get 3. But it's a way to, heal 2 and do a Strength 7 Mystic Attack around him to 2 different people simultaneously. It's not a horrible value if he's damaged, but I do not know how often you'll do it. It seems every Area 2
Yeah.
ability in the game seems like, to me, such a corner case. Like every once in a while it gets good, but most of the time it's weak. But I don't know if you
Cool.
guys have an opinion on area attacks, but my
Not
opinion,
really.
my
I
opinion
mean-
of them is low.
This feels a lot like God of Thunder. Like the odds of you using this like accurately in a game is going to be like my opponent was like either not paying attention or the game is mostly decided and it's like a last ditch maneuver kind of thing. I don't think this is like Daredevil's AoE is something you can plan around because it's so good,
Mhm.
but in that you can actually build a strategy around implementing it. But this is just like it's just a good attack.
Right.
But it is a good attack, so I don't know. It'll probably be relevant in some games, maybe like 1 out of 3.
So in the powers department, he has 6 superpowers. Jeez. We know some of them. Wet Work is the X-Force affiliation ability. Wet Work allows each member of X-Force to reroll 1 die in an attack roll each turn. So basically, if you're on, and that's his team affiliation, so everybody that you put on a team with Cable, as long as you are an X-Force team, will get to reroll 1 die in attack rolls each turn. So if you have the ability to attack on somebody else's turn, you would also get to reroll. So folks like Venom and Sabretooth could get a little bit more out of it. It
Actually says once per turn.
It says the panel to play says 1 die in an attack roll each turn. So
I wonder if that's a typo or just a badly phrased sentence, or if it's. I would assume it's actually restricted to once per turn, which is kind of lame. That's going to make Deadpool's gunshot that chains way less effective.
right.
I guess technically they revealed Deadpool's card. I guess we could talk about that, but we knew most of it.
Yeah. But yeah, the fact that you're only re-rolling 1 dice in a whole turn. So, meh. Like, it's...
Yeah, that's very weak.
Yeah.
But it's, it's not nothing.
The one thing I did think is, for the characters out there that really love their attack rolls, but don't ever get re-rolls, it's not, it's something to do. It's something to have. Omega Level Threat is another one of his powers. It costs between 1 and 4 power, and then it lets him throw terrain with a size equal to the amount of power spent. So apparently not other characters, but he can spin between 1 and 4 power. And that's is that identical or nearly identical to Magneto's, right? Or is
Ebony Maw. It's Ebony Maw's power.
Okay. So finally, Ebony Maw, it gets an upgrade, and we get a rework for Ebony Maw, and it's in fact Cable.
What? It's Cable rework for Ebony Maw.
Yeah, Cable is
There-
basically a
there
reprint
is-
of Ebony Maw.
I would like to go on the record now and say there is a 0.001% chance Ebony Maw will be as good as Cable.
I'm just saying. I think
There's no
what
chance.
they realized is they made a mistake with Ebony Maw, and like, we really need to reprint Ebony Maw. You know what? Let's just go ahead and make Cable Ebony Maw, only better.
Sorry, no, I misremembered. His always costs 3.
Oh,
Never mind.
Okay, never mind
It's
then.
just worse.
Okay, good. So, you guys throw stuff a lot in games. You guys like characters that throw things. What do you think about this?
Does it say range and distance?
It does not.
So it'll probably be range 2 or 3, throw medium, I would expect. It's gonna be good. Like, it's gonna be fine. It's gonna be a strong ability.
Is it actually efficient to be able to choose your power level to throw something, or wouldn't you rather just...
Yes, it is very efficient. He can only throw once, I assume. So it's
Probably.
Magneto's ability, but limited to once.
Which is very
But it
different
probably
than
won't be as
Magneto.
far. Yeah, but it probably
Yeah.
won't be as far. Oh, yeah, it's going to be worse, but I mean, Magneto's a 6-point character.
It's a whole
so.
different thing.
Uh,
But it is nice to be able to
so
grab
finally-
a 4 that's next to you and huck it. Like, being able to grab a 4 is insane. Like, only a handful
Right.
of folks can do that.
Well, I don't think he'll be able to throw size 4. Did it say up to 4?
yeah, between 1 and 4. Equal
Oh my
to the
gosh.
amount of
Yeah,
power
that's
spent.
legit, man.
Yeah, so that is exactly Magneto's power, except limited to once per turn.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's the second best throw ability in the game. So it's very good.
Behind Ebony Maw, you mean, right?
Yeah, behind
Just
Ebony Maw.
behind
So if
Maw.
you're standing on the back side of the spectrum behind Ebony Maw, so
Yeah.
on the far side of
Right.
that.
If you go around back to the beginning,
Mhm.
yeah.
If you're so far outside the box that you're looking at yourself still in the box, that's good.
Yep. His last revealed ability in the Fatal to Play is Telekinetic Shield, which is reactive. That's the one that's actually represented on his model with the cool
Yeah.
hex things, which I thought was interesting because it's a telekinetic shield, but the model looks like cybernetic. Like the fact they use like hexes, I don't know if I like that.
It looks technical
Right.
in some way.
It doesn't look like a telekinetic shield like you think of when you think of like a Jean Grey kind of power. But anyway, what it does is it adds 2 dice to a defense roll, or he can help out a teammate by adding a bonus dice to the bonus. So it's 2 dice to their defense. So he can now
Doctor
give
Strange.
yeah, he can give 2 bonus dice to himself or somebody else. Doesn't
That's
say,
Doctor Strange's ability.
right. So and now we can talk about adding 2 dice to your defense roll plus his defensive
Okay,
stats.
so what do we think his defensive stats are going to be? Obviously, he's going to be strong against Mystic, right? So I'm thinking at least a 4 Mystic defense. So I think one of his other stats will also be a 4. What do you guys think? Do you think it's more likely he's strong against energy or physical? I'm leaning towards energy.
I think it'd be
Yeah,
interesting
I
if
would
he was
accept that.
strong against energy, but it's just not the case usually. It'll probably be physical.
Well, but if you think about the types, like he's not like a melee fighter, he's a ranged fighter. And ranged fighters are a lot more commonly strong against energy. And people with barriers specifically. Because we think about the people that put up shields, it's like Wong and Doctor Strange, and both of them are stronger against energy than they are against physical. So that's why I'm leaning towards energy being a stronger stat.
It could be.
I think he'll be 3-4-4. He'll basically be Doctor Strange's stat line for the most part. A little bit weaker on Mystic, probably.
He doesn't have any other rerolls.
yeah, I think 3-4-4
so,
is a
yeah,
good call.
that's probably right.
Mm.
I mean, we kind of agree that he'll probably be 5 points. So that would be fine. I would love to see him with all 4s. That would be cool, but doubtful.
I don't
So-
think that'll happen, and the reason why is Cable himself, beyond being like a strong soldier, he's an old man. He's like
Mhm.
physically not any faster or stronger or than any other
He's not
old-
Wolverine tough.
right. Yeah, he's not old guy. He's kind of physically he's not any more durable than any regular person. But he has psychic powers, so they could say at any moment, just like, yeah, but he could deflect any sort of physical attack with his psychic powers. So he's a 5-4-4. I don't know, but
I mean, he has metal parts just like Wolverine. You never know.
like Jax from Mortal Kombat. Yeah,
Yeah, that guy. That's who I like to model my characters around. Jax from Mortal Kombat. Fucking idiot.
I'm excited about Cable now. I've seen his panel to play. I really thought he
I'm
was
very
going to.
excited.
I thought he was going to be just a. I really thought he was going to be a Cyclops again. Just with like.
I never thought that was going to be an option. I mean, Cyclops is a lame duck, and Cable is very well beloved by the community. I can't imagine they ever would have ruined him.
Mhm.
Like, Cable's such a cult favorite. Like, everyone that knows about X-Force loves Cable.
Yeah, that's true. It's kind of like if they would have made Cable bad, they also would have had to make Venom bad and Deadpool bad and all those other characters, and they're not going to do that.
Yeah.
They're not going to make that happen. So yeah. Speaking of Deadpool, we got card for Deadpool.
Yeah, I posted it in the podcast channel.
Mm-hmm.
So the most interesting thing to me is he's only 3 threat. That
Yeah.
surprised me. I thought he was going to be 4.
Another interesting thing about his Deadpool card is that we found out he's 4 health on the front side and
Yep.
6 on the back, which I think is really interesting. As soon as I saw that, I was like, "Ha, that's adorable." So it's really difficult, I think, actually, to make his healing factor work very consistently on the front side. On the back side, you'll probably actually see it occur. But because he does have one thing to notice, even though he does have 4 health, he does because he has healing factor. He has access to
Exceptionally.
exceptional healing. So he's not just gonna die automatically if you try to hit him with something really big. And if you get hit by a 5 damage attack, you can pull that card up.
Yeah.
I like the fact that he feels like a 3. Like, I don't think he fits in every list. I don't think he's like a go-to, like, oh my god, it's the best. It's not. Where they could have.
Yeah, he doesn't feel powerful. He feels useful, but not powerful.
I think he's interesting. It's very cool that they're keeping along the lines of, like, we're going to make characters and we're going to make them interesting. And, he's got one of the weirdest goddamn cards in the game, that fucking chimichanga thing, and Yoink, which is so fucking weird. But, it's like they kept it in the character, and he'll be usable in some lists, but most of the time, in my opinion, probably not. But he's cool.
So, did you guys see the all right, now it's serious rule? When he's injured, he always counts as healthy for contesting objectives and for playing cards.
Mm-hmm.
That's funny.
Dude, he's a criminal. He fits in a criminal list so good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's definitely going to get played, and he's going to be kind of a mercenary, I think, which is going to be fun. What the hell? I wonder if that's just because... Oh, never mind. It's... I'm looking at a clipped image, and there's like a sword coming into the frame, but that's because they posted the image of his model over the top of the image of the card, so the sword is coming into frame. Okay, how about this? The last several cards they've spoiled have had rounded edges. Do you think this is just the image has a rounded edge, or do you think the new cards are going to be more like playing cards, where there'll be a rounded corner?
But they're still oversized, right? So I guess
they're still going to be big, but I'm just like, if they were made out of a sturdier cardstock, like playing cards were, I think that'd be really handy for like long-term health of the game.
Probably.
Because the other one's just like cut out foam board, right?
Yeah.
Like it's not a lot to them.
Also, I know Karate. I know it's just, it's much better than a lot of the rules of the game. Reroll 1 dice in attack and defense rolls always. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And it stacks well with the affiliation.
Mm-hmm.
It makes it a lot easier for him to get his bangs off.
Bang, 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 bang.
Well, the fact that this Merc with a mouth power is a new thing in the game. Being able
just
to
make somebody lose too.
Walk seriously, you're like, you thought you were going to charge, you're not charging me. Like, that's a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
Or you thought you were going to throw, you're not throwing me.
Yeah, I mean, Sucker exists. It's just bad.
Compared to this. Ugh. Yeah. But on a character is pretty cool.
The only problem with Merc with a Mouth is, as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, it costs 3, so you're only using it later in the game, because you're probably not starting the game with 3 power, likely, unless you're playing a faction that's somehow feeding you power. So, unless you play an affiliation that's gaining you power before the opening of engagement, you're probably not doing it to punish somebody's opening possibilities, like charge, for example. You're probably doing it to just deplete them later. It feels like, when I saw it, I was like, oh, okay, this is a cool power sink if I for some reason have 8 power on Deadpool and I can't spend it because all I can do is bang, bang, bang from where I am, and it costs no power. And like it is a range 3 power sink that it's a control effect, is what I think it looks like, because I don't think you'll be able to do it very easy. I don't think it's strong enough to devote like a whole tactic to. Yeah. But it is something to sink power.
But look at his card though. Like, what's his power expenditure?
Right.
Like, basically that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, he's gonna take damage because he heals, and he's gonna be a frontliner because no one's gonna sit at range 4 and pistol people. Like, that's not gonna happen.
Right.
So he's gonna get power.
Mm-hmm.
And then he'll want to spend it on something, and obviously maximum effort is a great attack, but like, you can only use it twice. Like, you gotta spend your other power on something, and even that generates power. So, by the way, did you guys see maximum effort?
Mm-hmm.
I'm very excited.
I
was kind of disappointed when I saw the front of his card. I didn't even look to see if his big attack was different. I'm actually very excited because that looks like it's fun to use. Because it looks like the character is actually designed to play a certain way, because it looks like he's supposed to dig himself in early if he gets dazed, whatever, because he's more health on the back, and he's not punished for being injured like other people are.
Mm-hmm.
Then you're supposed to get the work in while he's on his injured side. Because if he runs in and gets injured, that just means you have enough power for maximum effort.
My favorite part about this new card, on his injured side, he looks like a super badass, amazing, like, now you pissed me off. One of his pouches is leaking candy.
I didn't even notice that.
Yeah.
That's good.
Oh my god.
Like, I love it.
He's got a sword out and he's shooting people.
Yeah.
He's like, let's do this,
Yeah.
Candy.
Yeah. I love how the front
Yeah.
side he looks all goofy and and
He's silly, yeah.
and then the back side he looks like he's all business, and yet also candy's coming out of his pouch.
So you're saying because they spilled his candy, now it's serious.
Yeah, right. Like you ticked me off now. That's my lollipop. I love. It's a really well designed card in theme too. It's good.
I'm very, very happy. All right, I think that's it for the news, isn't it? Did we cover everything?
Yeah, there's a lot of news, but yeah.
Yeah. And I will say, again, because of the way Disney likes to get all their ducks in a row for all their different licenses being used in different places, X-Force in Marvel Strike Force is a very aggressive, like, glass cannon team. And so I'd be very surprised if they weren't a similar playstyle in Crisis Protocol.
Yeah.
So I would expect the remainder of the characters as they get spoiled to be very focused on, like, assassination, like being able to get in, take people out, and, like, living is a secondary.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so moving on, we've got currently playing. So we talked about this list on last week's podcast, but I put together that Asgard and Healing Factor list, and I don't know what to call it. It's either the Healy Boys or the Axemen or the Bifrost Bruisers. And so we need to come up with a name for this list.
All of those are bad.
What? They're all good.
They're all bad.
Because you have Asgardians and X-Men. So it's Axemen, and then the Bifrost Bruisers. You don't like Bifrost Bruisers?
No, that sounds exactly like, what are those? When the women skate and like they're all dressed up in costumes.
Oh, the Derby Girls?
Yes.
Yeah, roller derby. Yeah.
Roller derbies.
Yeah.
The
What's wrong with roller
Bifrost
derby?
Bruisers. Here she comes.
I know what you're saying. I don't think it's a bad thing.
Okay.
So far, it's a compliment. All you've done is make me
Yeah.
happy.
You just made me more
Okay.
excited.
Click save.
All right. Click save.
Click fucking save as. That's fine.
Jeremy, it's the internet. It saves on its own.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, he doesn't know how to use computers. But yeah, I played one game of it versus Black Order. I lost that game, but I think it just a lot of I mean, obviously it was my first time playing the list, so I did not play it optimally. And I also didn't choose my characters well. If I had taken Loki instead of Valkyrie, I think it would have been much better for me, because I took Wong, who literally never did anything, but I was playing against Black Order, and so like the healing component of my list was kind of wasted, but I literally like chose my point totals without knowing what my opponent was playing, which was a mistake. I definitely should not have done that. The double reduced damage to 1 cards is definitely annoying as crap. Like, playing against that, it's just like, yeah, 2 of your attacks are going to do 1 damage, and I get to pick when. It's super frustrating. I did get to live the dream. So Wolverine got alphaed by Thanos, right? So he got Mind Stone forward, punch thrown, dead, and killed him in 2 hits. So I was like, whatever, he's Wolverine, it happens, I guess. So Angela goes in, moves long, punches Proxima, places within 2, picks up the objective that Logan dropped, and then Corvus comes in on her and fails to kill Angela, and then because she had Odin's Blessing, then after she gets attacked, she plays field dressing on Logan, who activates for the first time, and one-shots Thanos, which was cool.
Whoa.
I don't know if you guys are aware, rolling 3 wilds on his Claw Slash when he's the best at what he does is good thing.
Oh my
He
God.
did 8 damage plus Pierce on a 5-die attack, and he was just like, I blocked 0? I was like, cool, take 7. He's like, I'm dead. Like, eat it.
Wow.
He is the best there is at what he does.
Yeah, he's the best at what he does.
That's
And
some
so
scary
he
shit.
got one-shotted. So I healed him for the 1 before he activated, because the way your turn order works is you before someone activates, you do that. And so then he heals 1 with the Asgard faction ability. Then he heals for another 2 at the end of his turn. So he had 4 hit points at the end of the round. I only played 1 tactics card. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was pretty happy with Wolverine with that list. And it gives you another bruiser, so you don't have to rely on Valkyrie for all of your output damage.
Mm-hmm.
The mistake I made was definitely taking Valkyrie and Wong instead of Loki with the Mind Stone, because Loki is actually very strong against Black Order. He makes all their free abilities cost power, which is really good, because he makes them pay 1 to use their abilities. Not letting them add additional dice for crits is really punishing, because they're very reliant on exploding attacks, and also when they've got the Reality Stone, you don't get the extra die for the criticals when Loki's injured. And Corvus is just terrible against Loki. It's one of the rare bad matchups for Corvus.
Really?
Because, yeah, so you just move to range 2 of him, and then, or you move to range 3 of him, you blast it with the slow beam, and then you Mind Stone walk him away, and he doesn't have a charge mechanic. He's not within range to attack you. He cannot attack you without playing Mothership. Because he's speed short, you walked him away short, and you were only within range 3, and so he would have to have enough power to death blow you. And when he does that, you just trickster away, and now he's again not in range. And so he's just standing there like a sad boy with a ball and no friends. He's like, what do I do about this? He's like, keep walking towards Loki, and then if he finally double moves at you, you just throw him away with Thor, and you're like, goodbye, later. And then if he does come in, you throw Loki at him with sibling rivalry, and it staggers him. So when you Mind Stone him away, he literally can't do anything.
So that was a 19-point game?
Yeah, we both picked 19-point missions.
Mm-hmm.
There's a battle report for this, so it'll be online probably by next week, I would expect. I'm catching up. I still have a huge backlog of games, because I basically didn't post anything for a week and a half.
I really like Loki. I really like Loki. I feel like he's one of those super high learning curve characters, though. Like, you need to be able to go look at your opponent's card and go like, okay, this is how Loki is going to just win automatically against you, not by killing you, just by making sure you don't do anything.
Mm-hmm.
It's super cool character.
Yeah, I put a huge premium on damage output because I'm a very aggressive player. And so it's always hard to look at Valkyrie's damage output, which I think is slightly higher than Loki's, and then look at a 5-point Loki and say these two characters are equivalently priced. Like, it just is rough. But when you can put in someone like Wolverine and then also have Valkyrie and Thor, well, that's plenty of damage. And now bringing in a support character makes a lot of sense. And so that was where I think I went wrong in my list building. But I think the list has legs. Because I was also playing Recalibration Matrix and I wasn't playing Medpack. It was in my 8, but I didn't play it in the game. So it was Rainbow Bridge for maneuverability, even though a lot of the characters are fairly mobile on their own. It's extra maneuverability. Odin's Blessing, Exceptional Healing, Recalibration Matrix, Field Dressing. And so it's all cards that like change the math. And so I liked having it. Because you always have an answer. I liked it a lot. So Parker, why don't you tell me about your bad list and how bad it was?
I found out that I was playing an Avengers list that was trying to make use of getting one less power cost on your opponent's turn for things. So just how often could I dip into that? And in my game against Jeremy, Captain America got pulled out by Thanos and KO'd pretty quick. And as it turns out, I never actually needed the Avengers power to do anything of the things that I wanted to do anyway. Because they're basically, afterwards, Jeremy and I sat down and we looked at, there are actually only a few characters in the game that really care about having the Avengers power. Because if you are attacked, and then after you're attacked, you need to spend power to do something reactive, then you don't need the Avengers power, because you're almost always going to have power to do it. It's only in the case that you get attacked and not damaged, but there are very few things that do something if you're not damaged. So,
oh no, my opponent's attacks do nothing. I'm screwed.
Right. So basically, I was thinking about characters like Venom and Sabretooth being useful for Avengers, but they actually weren't, because Venom and Sabretooth already have enough power to do the thing after they're attacked, because they got attacked. But we looked at it, and there are some characters that do care about having the power because they're doing it before you attack, like Hawkeye. So before the attack happens, you can make it happen. You can attack back, so you don't have the power to spend. You need it already. And then like Ghost Rider, who is never going to be attacked to get it. Yeah, Ghost Rider is
smacking you with the
basically
with the crits.
Right. So basically, we decided that there is, but the funny thing is, Ghost Rider does get a power for you getting, you attacking your friend, but the fact that you get a power and then you immediately also get a discount is highly, highly efficient. So basically, we found out that my idea was not wrong, but the composition of the list I played, which had Venom and Vision and Hawkeye, the only characters that were actually getting any benefit from the Avengers ability were Vision and Hawkeye, and they always had enough power anyway, because Hawkeye...
Vision has enough.
Yeah, Vision always has enough, and Hawkeye usually has enough too, because he doesn't use his power for anything else. So, basically, when the lesson I learned was, if I was trying to be
you were so worried about figuring out if you could get discounts,
Yeah.
then you didn't think if you should get discounts.
Yeah. Yeah. It was the Jurassic Park thing. You were so busy just figuring out if you could, you never just stopped to ask if you should. Like, yeah.
And I mean, we had talked about it as well, and you told me you were trying to create a list that like had responses on all the models of things that I did, and then you kind of like got derailed doing a different idea, and the list was kind of like a mix of two different things. Which
the roster was basically a lot of characters that want Cap's leadership, and then you just picked 5 of them at random, and you're like, this list isn't good. You're like, yep, that is correct.
Yep.
Classic keyboard face roll. Yay, it works.
Cool. Jeremy, did you have a new list you want to talk about? Same old stuff?
It was the same old stuff. 9-point Thanos plus Magneto. Just disassembled Captain America and his gang.
I want everybody that listens to this podcast to think back, or even go back and listen to about a month and a half ago, like 6-7 episodes, when I was like, Jeremy, I'm telling you, these 3-character lists are amazing. He's like, that's not my bag. I don't want to play 3-model lists. I want 5 models. Now he can't stop playing 3-model lists.
I can't quit you.
All right, so that's going to move us on to hobby projects. Unlike you guys, I have completely scrapped putting models together and painting stuff. I now am Minecrafting as my hobby. I basically played Minecraft for the last week. However, I did expand my bamboo farm to 3 times its current size, so I'm very happy about that.
Well done. How is your cow smasher? Is it doing well?
It's still smashing playing cows. I mean, it's not worth expanding because I have so much steak and leather that I just don't know what to do with it. It's like, if you just put enough cows into a box, you get all the cow parts, so it doesn't matter. It's all about getting more cows in one box.
Oh, Lord. Well, my Inhumans are finished. I finished them up. This was the...
I remember you telling me how much you enjoyed painting
this
Medusa.
was the worst.
It was like your favorite paint job
this
ever of any
was
model
the
you've ever painted.
Worst pile of groupings of models. Like, I enjoyed none of it. Even the dog, which people are like, oh my god, he's so cute. No, listen, he's got a mold line right down the back of him, and the one thing I do refuse to do is clean that shit up. They made the models, I just put them together, and then I'm like, look what you fucking people did. So, and it's a big old flat area.
I will say I do like the Crystal model. I think you complaining that she's wearing yellow is not a fair argument because you can paint her whatever fucking color you want.
I hate it.
Because most people don't know what color she's wearing anyway. Like,
I look at the box.
If you're looking at the box and you painted her green, they'd be like, oh, nice crystal. Like, they wouldn't even think about it. Like, no one knows what color she wears.
Offensive.
Quick, what color is Medusa's chest, like, clothing?
Gray.
Like, no one knows.
It's fucking gray. It's
only
gray on the box.
Because you had to look it up and then paint it that way. That's the only reason you know.
They give you the box. It's a paint by number.
Yeah.
Tells you what to do. The only choices you can make that are wrong is if you put a mask on Wolverine. You could have decided to do one or the other, but if you put a mask on him, you were incorrect.
What? You did the maskless Wolverine?
The mask? Hell yeah, I did. He's got to have blue hair, just like in all the comic books.
I need my Wolverine to be 2 Batmans kissing at all times. That's the only acceptable answer.
Oh, you did it. Yeah,
2 Batmans kissing at all times.
You've seen it, right?
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Okay. I'm making sure. All right. So moving on to our main topic today, we're going to finish up the affiliated Tactics cards from last week. So if you haven't listened to last week's episode, why not? Go listen to last week's episode, guy.
Yeah.
Come on, guy.
If you have, good job.
Come on, guy. Damn.
Gold star to every listener that's listened to all of our episodes. You will be receiving 1 gold star via email.
We've left a small Easter egg in every episode.
As long as your email is my email, and I just sent it to myself. All right.
Nice.
Okay, so we left off at Black Order. We finished up with Price of Failure, which was a failure. We're going to move into the Brotherhood now. Yeah, failure.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we are on
Bros.
Asteroid M.
Yep.
Parker, hit us with some knowledge.
All right, so Asteroid M is an active power. 2 Brotherhood of Mutants have to spend 2 power at the same time. You place one of the 2 characters not holding an objective token within one of the other character. So this is identical to Mothership.
This is
right?
exactly verbatim to Mothership, except for the title and the affiliation requirement. That's the only difference.
Right. It could be Asteroid Mothership M stands for mothership.
Yeah. Anything that happens in space is discard.
Yeah.
That is how this works. Until we get Mystic Cosmic Rays.
Yeah. Yep. So can we?
Well,
is it okay?
hold on.
Is it okay if we just
We
give the
gave
same?
Mothership a 6.
Yeah.
So why not just copy off of the guy next to us and give it a 6?
I was going
right?
to say we are really good at rating things. So
the answer is because different characters can play this card. So how good is it for those characters?
True.
The answer is we don't know because we don't know what half this fucking faction does yet.
Yeah.
That being said, obviously being able to place Magneto for only 2 power on him is a big deal. I personally am expecting this to be a really big deal once Quicksilver and Juggernaut are released. Because I can only imagine Quicksilver is just going to hightail it to the other side of the table, and then, boom, surprise Juggernaut. And that's going to be my strategy for 10 games. I'm just going to do that. It's going to be fun. I'm going to love it. So that's what I'm looking forward to. On the flip side, going to Black Order, I don't think they really need Mothership. I think it's a good card, but it's mostly a waste because the only time you actually play it is the 1 in 10 games you probably play with Black Dwarf, and he needs to get across the table because something has happened, like you're playing alien ship and the objective is found on the other side of the table, so you need to get him back in the fight. Or more commonly, you will have Proxima dig herself super deep and then bring in Corvus from the back and then deliver him to where he needs to go without having to spend actions. That's the more common use for this card, but that's pretty much the only time it gets played. It requires 2 power on Proxima and Corvus, which isn't hard to do, but it does eat into their power pool. But it is cool to make some really exciting plays, because Proxima can get across the table. Because she can like move long, shoot range 3, place on the far side, then you play Mothership, and Corvus just comes screaming in over the top and hopscotches her, and I've placed him like 2 full feet before. Like, he's just like, surprise, 3/4 of the table across, and he just like kills Doctor Strange and his buddy. And you're like, oops, I was not expecting that. So, it's a good card. I don't know how important it is.
So what do we do? Do we call it a 6, not knowing what they're
not knowing what those people do? Okay, how about this? Black Order has Cosmic Portal on Thanos, because if you're not playing Thanos, you're not playing Black Order. And so I just can't imagine anybody would ever play Black Order without Thanos. It just doesn't make sense to my brain. You would just play another affiliation. Even unaffiliated sometimes. But, let's see. They have Cosmic Portal. Most of their characters outside Corvus don't really need maneuverability because they're already mobile. Yeah, it just seems like a waste in Black Order. I think it's probably going to be a 7 in Brotherhood to me, because moving Magneto, we already know, is going to be like maybe a game changer, right? Like, being able to place Magneto anywhere basically on the board is a big deal.
Yeah. We've seen that with the portal, right? From Doctor Strange's portal.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it's a big deal. The only reason you don't see this card played more right now is because people aren't playing Brotherhood right now because their models aren't out yet, and Mystique is terrible. I said it. I used my words.
Really?
Yes. We can talk about that more later.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm willing to give this thing a 6, not knowing what it does and knowing what an edge case Mothership actually is. I'm willing to give this thing a 6 just to see.
How about this? We know that we're getting more Brotherhood characters. So there's 7 characters that can get placed by this card at a minimum right now. There's a high likelihood, in my opinion, we're going to get more Brotherhood characters down the road. Right? There's no way Pyro doesn't get released. So we're looking at minimum 8, realistically. Probably more. So I think this is higher than Mothership on that alone, because even though we only know 4 of the characters right now, Magneto is more important to place than any character in Black Order with Asteroid M. And there's going to be even more characters coming out, and I think they'll have Quicksilver will be at least as fast as Proxima, I think. So you'll have a character that can go anchor for you. What do you guys think? I think it's more valuable because it's in a better faction.
I will call it better faction for it. Sure, I'll call it a 7 then, because the movement card.
What'd you say? You cut out.
I'd call it a 7 then, because it's a movement card.
7. Jeremy, what do you think?
I think it's the same as the other one. I think it's a 6.
I'm going with 7. All right, 7 it is.
Yeah, I knew you were. It's okay.
I said it already.
I know. That's why
All
I say I
right.
fucking know.
The Book of Truth,
All right.
plural.
The Book of Truth is a reactive card. When a Brotherhood of Mutants character is attacking or defending, at the end of the modified dice step, before the calculate success or failure, that character may spend 2 power, and then this character rolls all of their attack or defense dice, including skulls. A super duper reroll for your roll.
So the beyond the obvious stuff is this happens after all other modifications.
Yep.
So if you're playing against spider foes or anyone else who manipulates your dice, you get this reroll after everything. Now that's sometimes a downside if you're playing with, let's say you're playing with Peter Parker. I guess he can't even play it. So I'm trying to think of a time this would matter. If you play Inspiring Monologue and this card, you do not get to use Book of Truth and then Inspiring Monologue. You use Inspiring Monologue first. This happens at the end of the modify step, so all other modifiers go first. Bonus is Pierce happens before this. So if they pierce like a bunch of your dice down and you're defending, you can play this to then re-roll those dice and still have them affect the roll.
So does Pierce?
And
So Pierce effectively is nullified.
If you play Book of Truth, Pierce won't do anything because they're new rolls.
Yeah.
They turn them to blanks and then you re-roll them. So it's mostly irrelevant.
Huh.
Now, Pierce might be the reason you're playing the card, so it's not irrelevant. It's just, not optimal.
Mm-hmm.
On the attack, same thing. If you get Vapors of Valtord and you're attacking and they make you re-roll, you could re-roll them back. If you roll a bunch of skulls in the initial roll, obviously this is one of the only ways to modify your skulls. It's basically a cheaper recalibration matrix that you can't make them re-roll, but you get to re-roll skulls. And so I think it's better than recalibration matrix because it's cheaper. This is an auto include in I think any list that's playing Brotherhood.
The only problem I have about it is it's not like exceptional healing in that it guarantees an elimination of dice.
Yeah.
Or
it doesn't remove like random chance. It just
right.
modifies
it,
the odds.
it just allows you to get another random chance, right? The fact that it says all also you don't get to choose which dice.
Sure.
I don't like that. I get recalibration matrix is super strong. I just had Jeremy use it against me in the last game where I was going to wipe out his Magneto because I got a nice roll after like roll 4 or 5 against him. He finally did not get a good defense roll, and I finally got a good attack roll at the same time. And he just said, "Nope, let's make this happen again. Let's just make this occur again." And so I get that this is like that, but the fact that it only rerolls yours. So if your opponent gets a really, really great roll and you need this roll to be really, really great, you're spending 2 power to ice skate uphill.
Well, I think the way you use it on the offensive side is you wait for them to have a bad defense roll, and so you get to see all their modifications first.
That's
so even
true.
if they've you're attacking Peter Parker, you see the dice. You're like, all right, you got 1. All right, I only did 2. No, we're doing 4 this time. Let's go again.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, you get to see all the modifications they have before you make the decision.
Then I guess
So you're making a decision right before damage is applied.
and that's actually then I guess this is why I like this. I do not like this card nearly as much as something like Exceptional Healing on the defensive side, but on the offensive side, I think it's much stronger than something like Recalibration Matrix because it doesn't allow your opponent to do it again too.
How about this?
I do
Hold on.
like it on the offensive way.
So Sabretooth can play this card. So let's say Sabretooth attacks you, gets the Pierce. You can play this, reroll your dice, but the Pierce has already been applied. You've already used the Pierce on them, so you don't need the Wild on the second roll.
Well, why would you?
And that.
Why
So
would
let's say you roll your 5 dice, right? You get 1 Wild. That's your only success.
Uh-huh.
So you apply the Pierce, but before damage is calculated, you play this card, then get to reroll your dice before calculate successes. So you could then get more hits, but not need the Wild. Because normally when you're like, well, should I reroll my whole attack? Well, if I don't get a Wild, it's like -1. Well, it's not because you've already turned their defense die down.
Right.
And so now you get to finish reroll 5 more dice just looking for hits.
It is.
And then also you can do that with his Savage Predator attack.
Yeah.
Where he does on a Wild and a hit, I get another attack. Well, you've already triggered that. Well, actually, that's different. It might trigger at a different timing on that one. I'd have to look it up. But stuff like that, like if you have combat effects, like you can trigger the combat effect a lot of the time and then still reroll your dice.
Basically,
So-
you're not losing that efficiency. Yeah.
You
Mhm.
a really good thing, like you're talking about pierces and stuff, like using it against MODOK. Say you throw several fucking wilds,
Yes.
just re-roll
Yeah,
it.
because he can't turn those down.
He can't.
Yeah.
So it's very, very strong against characters like that. Well, I mean, there's only one MODOK,
Yeah.
but Magneto trying to nuke him off the board, that's a really good time to do it. Like, okay, and
Yeah.
boom. Yeah, it's good. And I
Yeah,
like
and
how it's
obviously
cheap.
if it didn't get skulls, it'd be a lot worse. But it's a whole new roll.
Mhm.
But because also keep in mind, if you're like 1 critical or 2 criticals and nothing else, you're rerolling the whole pool. So you might actually be rerolling more dice than you originally started with.
Oh, there you go. I like that actually a lot. If you get 2 criticals and blanks after that from the criticals,
Garbage, yeah.
now you're like I would like to re-roll this this pool that has 2 crits, 2 skulls, and 3 blanks. All of a sudden you're like, oh, that's a big ass roll.
Also, at the rate we're going, one of the characters will probably have that stupid ribbons rule where they can't roll their attack dice against you.
Probably.
So, I mean, I'm just going
Yeah.
with like the odds at this point.
Right.
That'll probably be Scarlet Witch's abilities. You can't reroll your attack dice against me just on statistics. So we know how much they like repeating abilities.
Yeah. I think every character that is female from this point on will probably have that exact rule.
Yeah.
Domino, yeah, it's probability. It's a probability ribbons. Yeah.
That's how that works. Yeah.
Probability ribbons.
We're just ripping on the dev team, guys. Don't worry. All right.
Yeah.
So, what do you guys think about this card? Should I go first? Who goes first? Is it me?
Yep.
I think it's me. Yeah, because Parker goes last. Like everything. And I'm gonna go with a 7.
I was
2
getting
cost
ready to
for
say
dice rerolling.
7. Yeah,
Yeah,
I was
I
going
like
to say a 7. It's a lot better than just kind of a 5. And it's only 2 cost, which is the money. I love that. It's great. Reroll skulls. Done. 7.
Parker.
I was gonna say 6 because it doesn't help you as much on defense as some other cards.
What
But
an idiot.
I think it's 6.
Didn't agree with us. All right, 7 it is. Outvoted. Moving on to the Cabal, we have the Cosmic Invigoration.
So Cosmic Invasion is trash. Why am I even reading this?
Yeah, just 1. Let's move on.
Yep.
Don't play this card, guys.
It only works with Red Skull. So, but if Red Skull is within,
It damages you.
yep, yeah, this is just bad. If Red Skull is within range 2 of another allied character that has an activated token, he may spend 2. Oh, sorry, each one of them can spend 2. My bad. Each may
Yes.
play. Then remove the activated token from the allied character and roll 3 dice. For every crit, wild, or hit rolled, that character suffers 1 damage. So basically, you roll functionally a 3-die attack roll against the character you want to
With
reactivate.
no defense, yeah.
No defense roll. So
Obviously, this is inflicted by an allied character, so you don't gain power for it. Yeah, so this is definitely like the worst card in the game. So first off, it requires 2 characters to spend multiple power.
Mhm.
They have a proximity requirement, and it's dice based. There's a random effect on this, so you have to roll dice to see what happens, and it damages you. Just throw this away,
Yeah.
guys. When you open your core set, find Cosmic Invigoration, rip it into tiny pieces, and throw it away, so it never gets played against me. Thank you, I appreciate that.
I really, really hope that at this point we actually all give this a 1 and we move on.
And move
Oh
on.
my god, this card is so good.
Okay, so that was all jest. That was jest. This card is super strong.
If you play this card at the right moment, you win the game.
Mhm.
Like that's if your opponent does not stop you from playing this card, you win the game.
Yeah. This is one of those cards that when you're playing against Cabal, you're like, well, if I don't kill Red Skull or KO Red Skull this turn, I might just automatically lose because Cosmic Invigoration is in play. It's
So you guys
strong.
know how field dressing is really important to stop and break up, right?
Mhm.
Do you know why everyone knows how to stop field dressing from happening? Because of this card. It has like the exact same requirements.
Mhm.
Like that's why everyone knew how to stop field dressing when it came out. It's because this fucking card. It's so good. Like it literally just gives you +1 characters for the turn, and it's whichever character you want. It's so good. The most optimal target is usually MODOK, but Magneto's also a legitimate option. Thanos is a legitimate option. Like, any big alpha character is a great target. Honestly, you could even put it on someone like Sabretooth. Like, Sabretooth in the right situation is a monster. Like, if he 10 power damage Sabretooth that's got like 3 damage on him, he's like, here's like an 11 die attack that like triggers another attack with rerolls. Oops, sorry, I guess you're dead.
Actually,
this card basically
Sabretooth is a better model to use with that than most, being that when it damages him, he fucking hits you harder.
He heals it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
you're gonna trigger his Savage Predator.
Yeah.
What's it? No Mercy. It's called No Mercy. God,
Mm-hmm.
all of his... I always confuse all of his terminology on his card. It's all just Angry Kitty Cat. I'm sorry, guys. It's just... Read the card, you'll know what I'm talking about.
but yeah, I think every character that gets better, Drax is the 3-point character that if you Cosmic Invigorate him, he could wreck the world with a good Cosmic Invigoration, because he takes 3 damage and all of a sudden Drax now hits like a truck. Like, there are all kinds of... There are the super premium characters like Hulk and MODOK and Thanos, but there's also the smaller characters that, you know, get some sort of benefit from activating twice. The only is there any... Also, there's another use for this, which is if I get this objective right now in this way, I win. Like, it's, you know, it's not just I'll kill my opponent. It's also like, oh, if Black Panther could activate right now, he could just win the game because of, you know, what he does.
All right, Parker, I got a question for you. So if Red Skull activates on turn 2 and uses his cube power gaining ability both turns, how much power does he have?
What? On turn 2?
How much power can Red Skull have on turn 2?
I have not played him enough to know this off the top of my head.
So he gains 3 from his ability.
Right.
Then he gains 3 from his ability again, and then powers up twice.
That's 8?
8 power.
Mm-hmm.
How much does this card and Follow Me cost?
Oh, that's 8 power.
By design.
Yeah.
So you could just immediately double activate turn 2. Now, that's not particularly amazing unless you have something else lined up, but it's another great option that you can look at. And one of the originally, back in like, you know, Wave 1 days, I played Red Skull, MODOK, Hulk as like a joke list. And it was actually really good, because you know what makes Hulk better? Activating twice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, an extra activation will do that.
Yeah, if you get 2 activations with Hulk having like 15 plus damage and a lot of power, that's real bad for you.
Mm-hmm. So, thankfully, it's a Cabal-only Red Skull card, for the love of God. I mean, it's a ball breaker.
And of all characters that could play this specific card, it's like, oh, I'll just move the target out of range 2 of Red Skull. That'll fix my problem. Red Skull moves him back. You're like, shit! Like, this is the worst. Yeah, he's so good at playing this card. If you are trying to play Cabal and it's not working for you, it's because you're not utilizing this card properly, which admittedly takes a little bit of practice. You have to like know where you need to put them in advance. So like you need to put them to where they're going to be within 2 of each other even after they have both activated. So one thing you can do is you can set up the situation you want to happen and then play it in reverse and then back them up to the starting point. And that way you can kind of get an idea of how the flow of the game needs to go. But yeah, this card is amazing. We've talked about like all kinds of things about it. All right, we should probably throw out some numbers now. I think the absolute floor on this card is an 8. I'm going to argue a 9, though. I think it's a 9. This card is silly. Any other affiliation having this card is a game changer. But this affiliation, not only does it hit their aesthetic perfectly, but I think they can take advantage of it even better than anybody else. Like, this is the faction you would want this card in. Because they have 2 of the best, like, hard-hitting characters in the affiliation. And Red Skull is the perfect character to play this.
Yeah, I thought, honestly, that we were all playing that card wrong. Like, I'm like, that's way too strong. That can't possibly work like that. And
that's not what that means.
No, yeah, that can't be that.
It says remove activated token. I'm pretty sure that's how this works.
I'm like, no, that can't. That means that we need to. And then after actually doing it, you're like, I get to go twice. Son of a bitch.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah,
and this was back when we thought that you had to spend an action to do the second Doomsday Chair attack. Like, this was how early in the game this was. We were like, there's no way you could Cosmic Invigorate and do, was that 8 Doomsday Chair attacks? That'd be illegal. There's no way. Like, we were fucking arguing about this shit all the time.
Oh yeah. Yep. No, but it's real, and that card exists. I only will give it an 8 because it's very specific on who can use it. It would be a 10 if it was a kind of a universal like answer.
It's not Cabal specific, though. It's just a Cabal faction card. So you have to be playing Cabal, but you play it on anybody. You can play it on anybody!
Yes, but it takes Red Skull.
How many affiliation cards like this allow you to target a non-affiliated character?
I'm going to say 4. I have no fucking clue.
Zero. The
Is it
answer
zero?
is 0.
Is it really?
Avengers Assemble can't even target non-Avenger characters. Like, this is the card that breaks the rule.
Yeah. They're like, we're going to do some dark magic on your ass. And you're like, no, I'm Captain America. You can't.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so how many cards in the game are better than this card? 1 that's not banned?
I mean, anything that can play in my faction, because I don't play Cabal. What are you talking about? I mean, it's limited by that.
This is easily top 3 cards in the game, right?
Mm-hmm.
How is it not a 9?
I vote strong 9. If I could give it a 9.8, I would.
I mean, it takes up one of your 5. You have to be playing Cabal. I mean, all that stuff is great and grand, but I mean,
that's like saying field dressing. You have to have a Daze character for it to be good. Like, yeah, I know, but
no, but I mean, as a universal tactics card, sure, it's. I just hate.
But if you changed Cabal to say unaffiliated, and you removed Red Skull with active character, it would be not okay for the game.
No, it wouldn't. It's already not okay.
So that's my point. How are you saying this card is
9.
beyond powerful and probably needs to be restricted?
Yeah,
but it's only an 8. Like, that's not you. You can't make that argument. Jeremy over here with no legs making arguments. Like, get out of here.
Oh my god, you're the one that said 8.
I said as an absolute floor. I voted 9.
All right, I'll vote a 3.
We already outvoted you.
Okay, fine. Yet
9
again,
it is. It just shows Jeremy's bad at rating things. I'm the numbers creep guy too. I'm like, guys, we need to bring these numbers down. That card's a 9. All right, moving on. We have the Chocolate Rains. Go ahead.
Chocolate Rain. Dark Rain. It's an active Cabal card. Any Cabal character can spend 3. Choose any enemy character, no range requirement. All allied Cabal characters may roll any number of attack dice when attacking the chosen character this round. Yeah.
This is just like the opposite of Inspiring Monologue, which is why I love it. Because it's great. Anyone can play it, and you just pick someone, and they're fucked. Like, that's basically what this card says.
yeah, you delete a character for sure.
Yeah. Unlike Cosmic Invigoration, this card only affects Cabal members. And so this was originally the reason people thought Cabal was very, very faction specific.
Mm.
But now just no one plays it and they just get over it. It's like, all my characters already reroll dice. It's fine.
Right.
I think I did play Dark Rain on somebody and attack them with Magneto. And it was just like you're like, what a waste. I was like, yeah, but like I killed MODOK. Like, I don't care. Like,
yeah.
It's fine. It's like I killed MODOK with 1 attack. Like, it's fine.
When you really need something
I'll
dead,
get over it.
choose Dark Rain.
It's the delete card. Pay 3 power and 1 action. Remove model from table.
Pretty much. So where does that put that on your scale of 0 to resurrection?
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's definitely not as good as Cosmic Invigoration. It is still quite good, but the Cabal stamp requirement makes it less good. I want to say 7. I think 7's fair. It's a quite good card. Any faction would be happy to have this in faction. Tell you what, no fucking X-Men card would ever get played over this.
So again, being the advocate of, I don't know. So it allows you to attack. It doesn't allow you to move. It doesn't allow you to go score points. It just deletes or dazes a model. So you have to use it. I mean, you can use it whenever. Somebody can drop something, you pick it up, whatever. It's better to KO somebody, but
Sure. I view this card as it will make my very low ability to apply damage to a model skyrocket. So you can view it as maneuverability as the fact is I can afford a move action here. Like if you've got a character that's not in range to attack, you can afford to move now because that second attack is going to be so premium that it's going to make up for the missed attack on your move in. Like, so it's not action economy, but it's such a increase in damage potential that the lack of efficiency for movement no longer really punishes you. Obviously, you still need to be able to get in range to attack. Mm-hmm. But if you're playing Red Skull and you can't get your characters there, I don't know what you're doing.
Yeah. And you said what, 7?
I said 7. I think its potential, its high-end potential is way better than that. But also, there's a lot of Cabal lists I see nowadays that aren't playing like very many Cabal members, and Red Skull's not really going to take advantage of it very often. Although it does make Red Skull a nightmare, because his Unleash the Cube attack with Dark Rain up is terrifying. Like, 7-die attack that throws and stuns in an AoE, and its energy, like, it's so good with this.
Mm-hmm.
And you're playing Cabal, so your characters are gonna have 3 power to play this. So it's like, the 3 cost is like nothing.
Yeah, it's cheap. It's cheap to get what you're getting out of it. And I mean, it does help in the fact that you don't have to take a Thanos from 8 health to dead with it. You can just make sure something's going to die while you're passing by, which is nice. It takes the element of chance out of it. That's good. I don't mind it. I don't mind a 7.
There's also there's also 2. I think it's at least a 7 because there's also now 2 characters that can't stand it. Like Dark Rain by itself just almost invalidates the Hulk, like a 6+ character. Because when Hulk gets Dark Rain, he's like, well, that's a big fucked part of my list. And
I think Rapid Fire invalidated Hulk, but yeah, go ahead.
But then also now you have 2 now you have 2 characters with the She-Hulk, right? Mm-hmm. Now you have 2 characters that Dark Rain will just ruin. Like you'll ruin your opponent's chances of victory because you don't have the benefit of dazed.
Yeah.
So as long as they keep printing characters that can't be dazed, they just have a 1 health pool, then Dark Rain actually gets better and better every time they do that.
I do think that's going to be a Hulk-specific thing, and honestly, Cabal doesn't have any trouble with the Hulk characters, which is the only reason I didn't rate this higher, because Cabal's problem isn't dealing damage. Like, if you're playing BattleBox characters, maybe, because, like, Zemo is very consistent, but he doesn't spike really high, usually. Ultron's kind of the same way. Ultron can do damage, but he's not overly, like, crushy. Like, he'll do damage, and it's good, consistent damage, but when you throw this down, it feels like it's Magneto. Like, he's just destroying everything. Mm. And so that was a lot more important back in the day, but now we have MODOK, and we have Magneto, we have Sabretooth. Like, the characters we're playing nowadays don't need the damage bonus, which is like a, embarrassment of riches problems. Like, yeah, we just don't need to kill you anymore. We already kill you so much. Like, we'd rather have defense. Like, So it's just crazy to me that this card is so amazing and very smallly utilized at the moment, at least in our meta. You just don't need it to kill people.
So,
but having it is nice. Like, Cabal is not at all afraid of Thanos.
Just a side note: why is Ultron's shitty weapon more expensive than his good weapon?
Oh yeah, did you notice that? Where it's like, why would I strike you when my energy blast is so much better?
Side note.
I talked about that when we were rating Cabal.
I know. It was
like,
it just dawned on me again.
That's a misprint, right?
Like, is
There's
that
no
fucking
way
true?
his shorter range attack is just objectively worse.
Yeah.
Like, yep, it is.
Okay, I'm just checking.
Did you just notice that?
No. I thought of it. I
know I've used Strike before.
Yeah.
I've definitely used Strike in games and not realized it because I don't play Ultron very often.
Yeah. Anyway, all right, so we like it. It's good, but it is an embarrassment of riches. That's a good way to put the term. Like,
but I rated it a 7 with all of that in mind, knowing that's like when you were like, well, Cosmic Invigoration is very restrictive. This card is way more restrictive than Cosmic Invigoration. But even that, knowing that still, that this card is still a 7. It's so good.
I have no problems with that being a 7.
Parker?
Yeah, I said 7.
7 it is. Moving on, we have the Criminal Syndicates, all according to plan.
Okay.
On our battle reports, there's a chance that all according to plan may show up in lists that it's not actually in, because when I'm typing all webbed up, sometimes it pre-fills to all according to plan and I don't catch it. But, so if that ever happens, just know that it's supposed to be all webbed up if there's Peter Parker in the list. It's like, they don't even have Kingpin. What's going on?
Yeah.
Like, that's why. It's autofill.
All according to plan is a reactive card. During the power phase, any number of Criminal Syndicate characters can spend any amount of power they want to play this card. If you collect 10 or more power, which I think it's funny they say 10 or more. You're like, I would also like to add in 4 extra power.
There is actually a situation where it happens.
Where you
I can
want to?
Go ahead and finish the card. I'll explain it then.
Okay. Take the priority token. Basically, you get priority during the power phase if you spend 10 or more power. But why would you want to spend more than 10 power?
I kind of wish it said steal the priority token. Because
they did miss the opportunity there.
Instead, we're starting a Liam Neeson franchise.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, turn your phone off.
Oh, yeah.
Whoever that is. You're holding it. I think it's okay. You might get your notification.
I didn't know it was on volume.
All right.
Check.
All right. So, the situation, it's been ruled this way, although I agree with Richard, who brought this up to me. It doesn't make any sense. If you have, let's say, 4 Criminal Syndicate characters, that's your only 4 characters, you play this card, 2 of them are holding worthy tokens. You actually have to pay 12.
Oh, God. That's awful.
Because it says you have to increase the amount you must spend by 1, and according to the rules guy, it's because the card checks if you spend 10 before the worthy kicks in. And so when the worthy kicks in, you have to then kick in an additional 1 each for each person with the token. And so basically you're saying, all right, these 4 characters are going to play it. I'm going to go 2, 2, 3, 3. And then the worthy token kicks in. Now everyone's spending 3. And so you end up spending 12 at the end. So if it said spend 10 power, you technically wouldn't get it. Because of the circular logic they were using on the rules forum. Based on there's no hammered out timing on when the spending power on a card triggers things, and so it was just a whole mess. But that's why the wording is the way it is, apparently. It's annoying.
So pro tip, if you're playing Criminal Syndicate, always play the worthy mission, because you get to use your all according to plan.
Shut them down.
Oh my God.
Also, it's just a whole mess. At least you can use the Criminal Syndicate ability to pile all your worthy tokens on one guy, and then he just doesn't participate.
That's true.
Yeah. All right. So about this card, it's really cool. I don't know that you play it that often, but having it there is such a game changer for your opponent psychologically. Because there's always turns where it's like, oh, it's okay, I can be super reckless with my important character here because I'll have priority next turn. Well, knowing that there's the opportunity that won't happen will cause your opponent not to go for those plays more often than not, which will then put you in more favorable positions to not play the card. So it's kind of like the threat of all according to plan is better than the effect, because your opponent has to, or at least should, plan for this card happening, because there's some really bad situations. Let's say all of a sudden charging in an injured Valkyrie at the end of a round made sense, knowing that she was going to get to go first next turn, but now she could charge in and die, and then you never get to activate Valkyrie again. It's not as good. So, it's definitely strong.
Jeremy, you've played this before. Did you ever get a chance to play all according to plan? That's the only. It's good card. Does it actually happen?
I mean, I didn't play it, but at the time that's when Criminal Syndicate first came out, and I wasn't exactly sure how to play the whole thing. But now, knowing what I know, no, it's super good. Just being able to snatch away priority whenever, because 10 isn't that many.
Especially against, it sounds like a lot. It's really not that many for the effect. Just think about Black Order getting to interrupt their go first train and take Corvus out before he gets to attack. Huge. You're not only taking away an activation from them, but you're taking away a double activation. Because you're taking out Corvus, which is huge, but then they're also losing the premium effect of getting to activate 2 characters before their opponent goes. The amount of work they can do drops by 2/3. It's so impactful against them.
Jeremy, do you feel like when you play Criminal Syndicate, do you have 10 power sitting around? Do these characters just not have a lot of places to dump their power?
Yeah, in fact, I will have criminals should have all the power, and you don't have any, because criminals just need to stand there. Criminals exist. Like their job is to be there, and your job is to punch me off of it points. So most of the time, criminals will have tons of points, or tons of power. That's not the big deal. And in fact, like I kind of think I'm going to shift into playing criminals again, just because it's a really cool, different way to play it. And that card will be in every criminal list for sure. For sure.
Yeah, also, like, 10 power sounds like a lot, but it's pretty rare you don't have 10 power on your characters in a game. Like, early turn 2, maybe, but that's not really when you're playing this. You're playing this card on, like, turn 3 and 4 when the game is about to be decided. Like, you're not playing this just at top of 2 to, like, go first and go take and extract. Like, that's not what this card's for. And so, like, yeah, middle of the game, you probably have like 30 power on your characters. Like, maybe that might be a bit much, but that's a lot of power on the table.
And plus, you're also doing your builder attacks and stuff. I mean, you have a lot more power than you think when it comes to how much you have. Especially if you're
I would say most characters on any given turn have between 3 and 5 pretty commonly. And so if you have 5 characters, that's almost 30 power. And
especially when, again, usually criminals just want to throw you. They don't really want to fight you, because building power is going to allow you to then do shit to them. So it's usually a bad idea to fight. Criminals don't need to fight you.
Yeah, they like playing the denial secure game, where it's like, we're just going to play this nice and slow, get points game, and we're not really going to fight too much. So everything I'm going to do is just going to be push you away and give you 0 power. So you're trying to starve them out. The only reason this card might be hard to play is because you played Shadow Organization on a previous turn. That might be the only reason that this card would be expensive.
So let's get to that in a moment. How do we rate all according to plan?
So probably a 6. That's how I feel about it. It's a unique effect. Nothing else in the game does this. And as an aggressive player, man, that is being able to say, I have priority, and there is nothing you can do about it. Because think about what it usually means when you lose priority. It means you had an exceptionally crushing turn, usually. It's like, I dazed 3 of your characters. Here's the priority token. I'm sorry. Just kidding. Taking it back and go again and just start, because getting to double activate, go last and go first is not allowed in the game for a reason, right? Because you can daze and then KO a character and they never get to go. It's like, it's possible for you to, especially if you're playing, let's say you just throw in like a Peter Parker or a Gwen Stacy, which is very easy to see. You can go up webline one of their characters that's already activated in, daze them, and then next turn steal the priority and KO them before they ever get to even attack with the model. Yeah, there's some really powerful combos you can pull off if you can guarantee priority under any situation.
I wish this card was not criminal. I wish this was more of a general card that did this. And I mean, it's super, super strong. But then again, the cards that are in your list, lots of them are the same kind of cards all the time. I would love another card of the caliber of a field dressing, and this would be one of them, in my opinion.
What would that have to cost?
I mean,
it'd obviously be restricted, right?
Oh, yes, for sure.
It'd obviously be on the restricted list instantly.
Yes.
And so you're giving up a healing card for it, and it would have to cost at least 12, or, gosh, maybe have it be played by your leader only, and have it cost 6. It'd have to be big.
Yeah, but I love the effect that it's there.
Turn your phone off.
Dude, I'm fucking...
It's called Vibrate.
I did, man.
It's the 4th time it's gone off.
Just twice.
He just locks the screen. Yeah, it's off.
I just locked it.
Come on, Grandpa.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, but effects like that change the game. And it's really cool to be able to say, okay, do I take a field dressing over this card, or is this card... those decisions are really nice. It's not just, do I want to make you attack a little less hard, or do I want to hit you a little more? This is critical.
This is an incredibly impactful card. If everyone could play this, man, this game would be a lot more tiptoe around your opponent's situation.
It would be cat and mouse like a motherfucker.
Yeah.
You'd be like,
can you imagine if Cabal... I'm actually totally against this. Can you imagine if Cabal had this card?
It just
this
says
game over. You never get to activate anybody. It just says Cabal wins. That would be what the card says.
Cabal can't use it. Okay, that's all. It just says Cabal cannot use this card.
No Cabal.
So
unaffiliated except for Cabal.
Maybe not this card then, but a card like this. I like this concept.
Yeah. No, yeah, I do too. I think what you're looking for is Follow Me. Like, maybe we just need to put more thought into Follow Me.
Maybe.
Because it's basically get priority. It doesn't give you priority, but it gets you the double activation. Because Follow Me plus Drop Off might be really good. I mean, obviously, Drop Off's not legal, but like maybe that's another reason it got banned.
Yeah.
Anyway, we need to rate this. Yeah, it's a really strong effect. It's a unique effect. I don't know that it's utilized too much. I think it's a 6. It's above average. I could be talked up, but I think it's at least a 6. Jeremy, hit me with some numbers.
I'll go with a 7 because of its potential and what it actually can do. I love the idea of you just don't get to activate, and that's just rude and mean. Like, and that's something that might not should be in the game. But criminals are slow enough that maybe that just doesn't happen. I mean, how many web lines does criminal use? You know, like how many times does criminal drag?
Sure.
I mean, they're just not doing that to you.
Well, but also, I mean, it's easy to throw one character in, but the main reason I'm not hugely all over this card is because they're a scenario-based faction, they don't actually want the priority very often. They want to be able to go last and get you off of a point. And so I don't think it's super important, but that being said, they don't have any 5-point characters that I'm aware of in criminals. So they're going to generally outnumber a lot of lists. And if you're always going last, then going first one turn could make the difference. So it is good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll go with a 7. Parker, what's your number?
I think actually, after having played against a lot of like priority taker lists that plan on having priority all the time, the ability to just be like, nope, I want your Magneto to make sure to go down before he gets to eliminate 3 of my characters.
Yeah,
I actually really like it for that reason. I would actually, I think the value of this thing goes up to an 8 instantly as soon as your opponent, as soon as you see a character across the board that costs 6 or more. This is not a 7-point card; it's an 8-point card, because it allows you to actually remove that model before they get to walk all over you with their priority plan. But because I see nothing but those lists, I would rate
number.
it an 8.
We need a number.
I'm going to say an 8 because I want it that bad. An 8.
We already did all the discussion. All right, so we're doing 7 because me and Jeremy said 7. So outvoted down to a 7. Next up, Criminal Syndicate Cruelty.
Cruelty. It is an attack that is a range 5 mystic attack. Does 5 dice. If an allied character damages an enemy character with an attack, after the attack is resolved, you can immediately follow up with the Cruelty attack by spending 2 power. The attacking character immediately performs the attack listed, and then this attack can only have dice added to it from critical results.
It's basically a big list of words that says you can't use your innate modifiers.
Right.
You have to only do generic ways of changing
Right,
dice.
yeah. This character cannot modify its attack dice at all during the attack.
Yeah.
It's just
basically
5 dice.
an attack made by the card, not by the model.
Right.
So I love this card. Twist the Knife is amazing. I think we need more cards like this and not in criminals. Just like Jeremy was saying with the last card. There's so many times you like come one short of taking someone out, and this is exactly what you want. It's so good.
Do you get
2 power?
Do you get the
2
2
power
power
for a mystic?
I was going to say, do you get damage? Do you get the power from your attack before you can spend the 2 power on Cruelty?
Read the card. It says.
Oh, right. So it's after the whole resolution. I see.
Yep.
Yeah.
Jeremy?
Yeah, for all the reasons that you've already said. I mean, for 2 power, just to throw 5 dice more at something, and also it's mystic, which is pretty good against most things.
Love the concept that it's not that you're injuring them more, it's that you're doing psychological damage of like I'm going to murder you, and they're like, no. Like I love the concept of it.
Yeah, it's a card that goes in your list if you're playing criminals. I mean, why not? It's a good one.
Does it actually go onto your the list of 5 though? Yeah, it definitely goes into the pool.
Makes the roster.
Yeah. Does it actually make the table though?
It probably depends on the matchup, because there's some matchups you probably don't play Shadow Organization, and there's some matchups you don't play all according to plan. It just kind of depends. And so it's the thing about the criminals is you'll notice is they have a lot of good tactics cards that are situational, and so it kind of depends on the situation. So you have to make the best choices for the game.
But okay, so what's the situation where cruelty is better than either of those other two cards? Those other two cards seem like game
if you're
bending,
playing against,
and this one just seems like
Asgard, for example, you wouldn't play Shadow Organization because all their shit is up close, and so they just want to run at you. So Shadow Organization doesn't help you, but being able to finish off Thor on an important attack might help you a lot. Mm-hmm. So Cruelty would go in over Shadow Organization. All according to plan. If you're playing against a list that isn't going to have priority against you, like let's say you're playing a 4-character list and they have 6, I don't know what the point of all according to plan would be, so you wouldn't play it. So it just depends on, like, you have to make that decision based on your opponent. Or, like, the scenario as well. Like, if you get stuck into, like, a Gamma Wave. I haven't played Criminal, so I'm guessing here, but I'm assuming Shadow Organization matters a lot less on Gamma Wave because you're already just boxed into a corner. So I would assume that would be less useful there. But yeah, it's probably also character dependent. Like if you're bringing the criminals that are more fighty, or if you're just 100% going for scenario play, you probably don't play Cruelty. But I think everyone agrees that Criminal Syndicate is a parasitic faction. If you are playing criminals, you're probably not playing anything else, because they eat up a lot of character slots, they eat up a lot of roster slots for tactics cards, and they kind of force you into very specific scenario missions that are good for them. And so you probably don't have enough room in your roster to get a whole second affiliation in. So you're probably on the criminal plan the whole way. Now, you might have different plans within your criminal roster to do criminals in different ways, but you're not going to be like, here's my criminals and X-Men list. Like, that's not going to happen. Like, because you have two very parasitic factions that don't like playing with others.
Yeah, and their cards are so good.
Sense?
Yeah, the tactics cards are so good. You either want to use them or not. Like,
yeah, and I don't know. Every time I've seen criminals, they basically always have all 3. So you're only playing with 5 slots, and so there's no way you get a second affiliations card in. Mm-hmm. So unless you're playing like Black Order or something, and even then you wouldn't have enough character slots. So, I think this is probably a 6. It's above average. It's strong. Like this is definitely an include if you're playing criminals, unless you're completely off the fighting plan. If you're just 100% on like Web Warrior level, I want to win on scenario.
Okay, so I'll give it a 5 because I don't think it's necessary. I don't think it guarantees anything. But it's cool. I'll give it that. I'll give it a 5 for coolness.
Well, think about it like this, because you don't have to you don't even have to damage them, do you? You do have to damage. So if you damage an enemy, you get another attack. So if I just told you 2 power, you get an extra attack, like, wouldn't you play that card?
Not for a tactics slot, though. That's a lot.
You don't think so?
Nah, not with the...
All right.
Yeah, I just don't see it.
How about this? The ability to like almost guarantee you can clear off a point. It's like 1-on-1 on a flank holding a secure, and my guy basically has 3 attacks because of Cruelty to like get you to not count for the turn.
It's not a... I mean, it's an attack, but it's a 5... I'm still not sold. It's just an extra attack. I would much rather get a throw or a stagger.
I was like, if it's a 1-on-1 against Criminal Syndicate, it doesn't matter because it only counts as 2.
Well, 2-on-1 then.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
you know what I'm talking about. If it's going to break if it's going to get you a point.
Yeah, the problem is to me, it's just it's a standard attack, and that doesn't guarantee anything.
It's fair. That's a fair argument.
I'd rather have a throw. Heave Ho is better.
No, it's not. You and your buddy that could just be a character that could throw.
Exactly.
I somehow have 2 characters in one spot. Neither of them can throw, but this is something I care about.
Rocket ran up and helped.
Idiot.
I'm helping.
Yeah. How about instead of including Heave-Ho, you include characters that have throws? Fucking moron. Anyway.
My Heave-Ho list isn't built yet.
I find it hard to believe that you put 10 characters in a roster and none of them had a throw, and at any point you said, I should have a throw, and then you put Heave-Ho on the list, you're like, fixed it. Like, no one has ever done that. Oh my god.
I shouldn't need more than one throw.
So much. Mm-hmm. Oh my god. It only works one time!
Yeah.
Like, if Cruelty was printed on a character's card, how good would Cruelty be? Whereas Heave-Ho is printed on multiple characters' cards, and they're not even good.
That was actually what I was going to say. Is Cruelty's the only character that kind of has Cruelty is Crystal now, because she just gets to drop an extra attack. but Crystal has to pick a different attack, and but also it
Costs 4.
costs 1 more power, but you don't have to damage earlier in the turn. So
2 more power.
does her ability cost 4? Yeah,
Mhm.
it's 3. Okay.
Elemental Onslaught is 4.
It's
Okay.
4.
So it costs 2 more power, but it doesn't require you to have damaged anybody already. But it's
Mhm.
similar to this. Like, she's the only character in the game right now that can spend power to just get an extra attack.
Yeah.
So I think this is a 5 for that reason. Like, giving it to anybody is cool, but it's a 5 because that ability is just fine.
All right, 5 it is. Yeah, the attack isn't spectacular. It's just a
cool.
decent extra attack.
Oh,
Yeah, I like it.
what if they
All right,
gave it?
moving on.
They should have gave it to Kingpin and made it a card like Magneto's, where he just gets to play it every round. Oh, that'd be fucking sweet.
Ooh. Yeah, but that doesn't make any sense because
I don't care, it'd be awesome.
Cruelty is okay. How about this? If Bullseye had this instead of his stupid pin cushion, whatever, or
Yes.
the auto damage thing, then he would be a good
Yep.
character. But as is,
He doesn't
Bullseye
have
is
that.
terrible.
He doesn't have
No.
that. Okay, moving on.
He's such a piece of shit. All right, moving on to Shadow Organization.
Yeah, we've
the
talked about this card
the
3 times
king
already. Yeah.
we should have just done it in reverse order. The king of the Criminal Syndicate tactic cards. Parker, go.
It's a reactive card. Only during the power phase, any number of allied Criminal Syndicate characters can spend 2 power immediately. Enemy characters must be within range 2 of the characters that spent power to target them. So basically, super stealth for a whole round.
Yeah. They've talked about X-Force having a card like this, and oh man, if they do. Because X-Force looks like it's going to have a lot of range components in it, as where Criminals don't have a huge amount of range, but they've got some. But it's like, Criminals is... I always forget, because they're like a weird hodgepodge of people. I'm going to check real quick, just so I can see the list. So I know it's like Kingpin, Crossbones,
So, one of the biggest problems with that card is the fact
Green Goblin,
that
Killmonger, yeah.
with criminals, a lot of times you want to cover all of them, but it turns out that usually 2 models are not criminals that are in your list,
Mhm.
and they don't get the protection from this. And also, 50% of the time, you don't need it. It's kind of
Sure.
you know what I mean? Like, we
But
already said
that's a list choice. He's like, oh, my opponent is like all melee. Like, I don't need this. So, but
Mhm.
yeah, then you just don't put it in your 5. But yeah, probably just having it in your 8 will mean that your opponent will lean heavily towards melee
Mhm.
if they're paying attention. Which is fine because again, your tactics cards are affecting the play of your opponent without spending power. Like, that's a good thing.
Mm.
Also, you have characters like Taskmaster in your list that he would love for people to come closer because he's going.
Yeah, just forcing the issue.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, come over here. Let's do
Yeah.
this.
Like
Um,
Taskmaster would love for people to get up close and try to deal with his 3 power worth of nonsense.
Think of it this way also, you never have to spend 2 power for Crossbones to play this card.
Oh my god.
Do you know why?
Oh god, please just tell me.
Because you weren't dumb enough to play Crossbones! That's why. No, but really because he has aggressive and nobody wants to shoot him for that reason.
Mhm.
Because it's like, yeah, I shot that guy. He took 1 damage and walked towards me. That was great. Like, yeah, it was fun. But yeah, also you didn't play Crossbones. So, this is an amazing card.
Yeah, I was gonna say when MODOK and Taskmaster have this card at the same time, you're just like, ugh. Like you,
MODOK should not be allowed to play this
but
card.
he does.
That's so
Yeah,
dumb.
But he
really dumb.
does.
It's real dumb.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah,
great. It's a
MODOK
great
really
card.
needed to be way harder to kill.
The fact that you can protect your leader who likes to be up, on points, and MODOK and Taskmaster, like those 3 by themselves, if they get 6 power or in the game and they play this on turn 3, it's just so hard.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we're all going to agree this is an amazing card. It forces your opponent to make decisions they don't want to make. Like, do I walk into range to punch you or just let you shoot me? Like, it's just a terrible decision. Yeah, it's brutal. This is a brutal card. If you play it right, it's going to swing the game hard. So let's see. You were saying that there's commonly characters in your list that can't play it because it is criminal only. Wow, it's surprising. This isn't bold texted. Usually they bold text the affiliation name. Oh well, weird. Trying to think, who do you've played a little bit of Criminals. Who do you usually bring in as like a mercenary? Is there anyone specific or just people?
Honestly, I can't remember.
Okay.
I always want to
I'm just
bring
thinking if-
Crossbones, but I always put someone else in there, and I don't know.
Good choice. Well, I'm just thinking if you know in advance that Shadow Organization is going to be a big part of your strategy, that should affect the characters you're choosing to bring in. They should either not mind being heavily targeted on turn 2, or be okay standing back. Like I was saying, like bringing Spider-Gwen in is I think a decent choice because she stands so far behind that she's probably not getting heavily targeted anyway, and then she can save. Like if you're having to fight through Shadow Organization and Lifesaver, God, that's a nightmare, right?
That is really bad.
Because you're like, oh, I finally got to like MODOK or Crossbones or what's his name, Kingpin, and then he like, spend action move, attack, gain another move action, sweet, and I move away. I guess like it's just like you wasted entire activation,
Yeah.
just fucking moving around. It's pretty crippling. So for numbers, this has got to be at least a 7, right? Does it make an 8? You think?
I think
That's a good card.
It is a good card, and it is for criminals who want the ability for that ability. A low 8, high 7. What is that? I mean, I can go either way.
That's an 8.
We like that. We
Parker,
like
let's break a tie here. So I mean, I'm pretty much at an 8 anyway. But yeah, I'm like 7.5. Jeremy said 7.5. Parker,
8.
We round up. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I mean that again is a completely not okay unaffiliated card. So saying that it's only criminals, like that's not really a justification because there's no way this card could be printed as unaffiliated. Like it has to be faction restricted.
Also, only criminals is Kingpin, Taskmaster, and MODOK. Like that's
MODOK melee.
Yeah.
But I say just for the record, it's Bullseye, Crossbones, Green Goblin, Killmonger, who likes to be protected,
That's right, Killmonger.
Kingpin, MODOK, and Taskmaster.
Mhm.
And I believe we're going to get a couple more of them at some point. Mainly,
Probably
I think,
May.
Mysterio's. I think Mysterio's going to get added. If he's not already, isn't he? He's a criminal, isn't he?
Shadowcat and Mysterio, I think, are both criminals. Yes.
Okay, yeah. So they're getting more characters. We know for sure.
Mhm.
So yeah, I think an 8's pretty fair. And again, it seems like we're going to put some high numbers out today, but these are the affiliated only cards, and we went through a lot of bad ones. Defenders. The Lone Defenders card.
I did.
Pentagram of Far Away, as Jason likes to call it.
The what?
I can't remember Farley.
Oh,
He calls it the Pentagram of Far Away.
That's funny.
And I was like, why do you call it that? He's like, I thought that's what it said. It's like, no, it's not Far Away.
Yeah, it's actually
Isn't
fair
there in
law.
Shrek?
If you wanted to, yeah.
Isn't that in Shrek, the Kingdom of Far Away, far, far away?
Yeah, it's far, far away.
Yeah.
You got it. So, Pentagram of Far-Allah is another way to pronounce it. Defenders is reactive. During the power phase, Doctor Strange or Wong may spend 2 to play it. They place a mystical token within one of that character, then place another mystical portal token within range 5 of the same character at any time during a character, so that's anyone's activation, while within one of the portal token. You may spend 1 power only once per turn to immediately be placed within one of the other. So basically you make a wormhole on the board next to Wong or Doctor Strange, and for 1 power
That's
anybody
not
can
what it
use
says.
it. I just read it.
Read the last line again. You said it wrong.
While within one of a mystic portal, it may spend 1 power once per turn to be placed within one of another mystic portal.
Yes, that is correct.
Yeah.
You said within one of the other. It's one of another.
Oh, that's right. So if there's more mystic portal tokens, they can do it again.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so it's already been confirmed that both players play Pentagram of Far Away. You get to place within one of any of the other tokens.
Yeah. So it's not really a wormhole. It's a portal to another dimension. You can pop up. If there's only one other portal, it's a two-way, it's a two-way digestive.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just one population. So I know how I'm going to play this card. I propose a game with 6 players. All of us play defenders, and we all put Pentagrams of Farley down, so that the board is basically open for us to do whatever we want for the rest of the game.
Ooh, very relevant conversation. So we're playing through the ultimate encounters on our battle reports right now. The only one I've got in the can right now is the Ultron on normal difficulty. But since we're playing through here, obviously having multiple characters from multiple affiliations is when this gets really spicy. So that might be it. Like playing Defenders just to get this card in your tactics cards during an ultimate encounter might be very good. Like, you know, having 2 factions worth of characters being able to jump all over the table, like that might be really powerful in a multiplayer game.
Interesting.
So you might want to think about that when you're list building for the Hulk encounter.
Mm.
Speaking of the Hulk, I've played this card a lot, but the most fun I've had with it is when I played my Peekaboo Hulk list, which is Defenders with Hulk and Wong and obviously Doctor Strange. And so it's basically just all the healing plus Hulk. Can Hulk actually be good? And the answer is no, but you play Vapors on Hulk, so you get to reroll all their attack dice coming in on him, or at least most of their attack dice coming in on him. So it's a massive damage reduction. But you put Hulk kind of out in the middle, let him take a little bit of damage, and then you heal him up after that happens, because Wong and Doctor Strange can both heal. And then you also have field dressing and patch up in the list. Then, last activation of your turn, you send Hulk through the portal, max distance forward, and you hit their backline. But you do it as the last thing for the turn. And so they'll get to activate a character. Then you'll go again next turn. Hulk activates again, and then does whatever he wants to do, and then comes back through the portal. Meaning that they have to now go move to the portal and go through it to come attack Hulk while you heal him back up. It's quite hilarious. I don't know that it's good. It's definitely not won me many games, but it is hilarious. Because most people just have never had that happen, and so it's like, I gotta go get Hulk, so they run forward, and then whoever hasn't gone yet gets Hulked. And then they turn around and run backwards, and then Hulk goes back, and they're like, damn it! So they have to run back to Hulk, and it's very funny. And then next turn, you know, you just start hopping him wherever it's most valuable. Because when he gets to place range 5 and then place range 2, he can basically get wherever he wants. Like, there is no place Hulk can't get.
So, on a what's happening currently, one of the things that's happening during the TTS leagues and what people have talked about with Hulk is a first turn send Hulk through on cubes, because Hulk can grab mini cubes. So he can grab a cube, jump through, grab the opponent's cube, and then be a dick. And there's not a lot you can do about that. I mean, you can try and kill Hulk, but there's also the rest of an army.
Let's see. Hulk gets what? Yeah, Hulk can get 2 cubes. But then Hulk's like in your opponent's deployment zone.
So he jumps through, right? And then he gets the cube.
Then he has to move twice to get the next cube, right? Or does it just move once?
No, he can move twice after he grabs their cube. So he gets your cube, then takes your opponent's cube jumping through, then can move back twice.
Can you get to the enemy cube with just a range 5 place?
Range 5 place on large base, yeah. So it's a dick move.
No,
it's something they do.
It's not range 5. It's not a range 5 place. It's range 5 of Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
And then you place the portal, and then he's placing... So it's actually like a range 7 place.
Yeah,
That's
it's really
why my
big.
math is off. Yeah.
So
I forget that sometimes.
That's something that I haven't seen done. Like, I haven't tried it, and I haven't seen it. But it's actually
the other thing
pretty scary.
I was going to say, the other thing you can do is he can check... I'm pretty sure you can check 2 of the alien ship extracts on turn 1 if you play Anger Management. Because he ends up with like 5 power, I think it is, with Anger Management if you want to. And so he moves forward, checks a point, leaps, checks the other point. Sorry. Moves forward, leaps, checks, moves, checks.
Do you need cubes for it to happen because of the deployment type of cubes? Because it's which
the number of extracts mainly.
Yeah.
And also cubes is one that
if
you can have multiple, and Hulk gets benefit from being damaged. So it's win-win with Hulk and cubes.
And he also gets more power, which is awesome.
Right.
So you're not reliant on him getting attacked to become valuable. But I think it might be possible. I'd have to check the math, but if you can get to theirs with just the place, you should be able to get 3 cubes.
So actually you can get 3. That's the
Yeah,
trick.
you get let's say you're on the left side, you get the enemy left, then you get you move once, get the center, move again, get your left. So he gets 3 cubes on top of 1.
Mhm.
That would actually be viable.
So yes,
Especially if you're playing defenders, because you could actually heal him enough to keep him alive. Yeah, I might try that, but again, you have to choose extract or your opponent has to play cubes, but who the fuck plays cubes? It's such a bad scenario. For this exact reason, it's only good if you can exploit it.
it is. Yep.
So it's good with this setup or with like Asgard because they get to just heal the cube damage if they want. So they get to decide if they want more power or not, which is great for them.
Mm-hmm. So that's out there. You can do that only because Pentagram.
That's good. That's a good point.
Pentagram exists. You can do that, and if you're not ready for it, you've lost the game. You've lost the game. Like,
Yeah. I mean, this is like half the reason to play defenders, right? Because this card is better than their affiliation bonus.
oh, for sure.
Like this is why you play defenders, because Doctor Strange is great out of defenders. This is just the question is, do you want Pentagram?
Mm-hmm.
And I have played not Brotherhood to get Pentagram before, so it is very good.
Yeah, I think it's one of the few cards in the game that you have to play around it the entire game, even before it's played and after it's played.
Mhm.
It does not stop.
I will say that if you don't play against people that play Pentagram and you don't play Pentagram, you need to make an active effort to get practice against it. And hopefully against someone who knows how to use it really well, because this is a huge skill cap card. This card, because it works both ways, it's not just your models that get to use it. You need to have experience playing this. You need to know about different situations that come up, because it is not obvious how this card's going to play out. Because every small decision change on where you put it dramatically affects the later portions of the game in like a butterfly effect, like a rippling. It's like if you have a bad placement with Pentagram and you don't take advantage of it in the right way, or you allow your opponent to take advantage of it, you're opening it up for your card actually benefiting your opponent, which is going to swing the game real hard.
And you can't make it go away.
No, yeah, this is permanent. It is game long. One of the few Tactics cards that is permanent. Like, you play this card, there are now tokens there. Also, it's much like Mayor Fisk vows to find missing witnesses scenario. If you haven't played that scenario, you need to get practice, because someone's going to blindside you with it, and it's going to be bad. It's very similar to the Terrigen Miss mission that just came out. So you should get practice on one or both of those, and then also you need to get practice with this. This is one of the few cards that dramatically changes the way the game is played. 8? 7 maybe? I don't want to go too high on this because of how hard it is to play, and because it is one of the few cards that can be turned against you really easily.
I think it has a skill cap that is so high on what you can do with it. I mean, even not ever playing it, you've played it. Like, you can play this card without ever even dropping it. Just the fact that you have it. I mean, yeah. I'm putting this at an 8. It's an 8 easy. We sat there and had an entire discussion of how horrifying it is without even talking about playing it. Like, it is that strong on a character that is also very, very strong.
Mm-hmm.
I would say it's an 8 after seeing it played against me. I hate it.
Did you think it was an 8 before the game?
No.
Show me on Doctor Strange where it touched you.
That's about where I thought. All right, so let's get into the next one. Defenders. Guardians. Crew of the Milano. We're going to speed up a little bit here. Yep. We've been through a lot of complicated cards today. So.
All right. So Crew of the Milano is active card. Any number of Guardians can play this card to spend 1 power. Each character that spent power removes all special conditions and cannot suffer special conditions this round.
All right. Very low on the totem pole. It sounds great, but the big important part of this card for me is cannot gain them, because that's fairly unique. This is basically Peter Quill food. I mean, no, I don't think I've ever seen this card actually played outside of one game, maybe. And it was because, what was I playing? I was playing All Webbed Up, so he played it to prevent All Webbed Up, which is a very legitimate use for this card.
That was me.
But, yeah. It's just not important. Like, it's probably better than the X-Men version, Children of the Atom, but it's just very meh. Mm-hmm. It's not super, super important.
I was gonna say it's a counter card. It's a counter meta card or a counter card. If you see what your opponent's doing, if you have a plan for it, then it's really strong. But otherwise, it is
is really strong against very particular matchups. Like if it was that Bash Bros list we were playing for a while, where it's basically centered around getting everyone judged and then everyone stunned.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, that's a better situation to play it, but it's just so rare that you're in that situation.
Right.
Like, first off, your character has to be attacked by an enemy effect that actually applies negative effects. Then you have to not get dazed or KO'd by the effect, or before you activate. Then you have to activate the character before any of this matters. Mm-hmm. It's like, okay, like, sure, that happens 1 in 10 times. I don't know. It's really cool that cards like this are in the game. And I think this is what the majority of the cards of the game should be. They should be helpful situational cards that will get you out of bad spots if you planned right. But this is not a powerful card.
Yep.
This is basically taken to throw away to get wing it tokens. That's what this card is. I specifically remember everyone saying, "It's like, yeah, I only take this for wing it tokens because I feel bad throwing away other cards." I'm like, yeah, that means it's not a good card.
Yeah, why are you doing that?
Yeah,
I always play it.
All right,
in my anti-bleed Guardians list. That way I can't get.
Oh, wait, your anti-bleed?
Yeah, my anti-bleed prevents it.
I'm gonna go with a 4.
I was headed at a 4 too. I'll just say it. It's fine.
I also believe it's a 4.
In agreement. Next up's gonna be Lovable Misfits.
Okay, so here's another one. We're gonna take a big deep breath.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Get it.
It's an active card. Any number of Guardians spend 1 power to play simultaneously, and then each character that played rolls 1 dice. If that character rolled a crit or a wild, they may immediately either make an attack with a power cost of 0 or immediately gain 2 power. If they rolled a hit, enemy characters within range 3 of that character holding or contesting an objective suffer 1 damage. If they roll a blank or a block, they may immediately advance short. If they roll a skull, the character that rolled the skull and all other characters within range 2 gain stun. Complete each character's roll in the order of your choosing before moving to the next.
So the interesting part of this is the most common result is advance short, and the most uncommon result is stun all characters within 2. Everything else is an even chance. I mean, obviously it's chaos, right? Like we know it's chaos. You cannot plan around this. Now there are times because 2 of the effects affect enemy models within range 2 or 3.
Mm-hmm.
The other effects either let you move or attack people. So you can make educated guesses. This is probably a card you need to get some reps with, so you know how to position your characters to get maximum effect out of it. But being that the most common result is advance, then obviously that's probably going to be what's happening most often. And your positioning probably doesn't matter a lot if your bonus is advance. It's a solid card.
I'll say I love this card because for the randomness you get, you only cost 1 power, and 1 power is so easy to do in this game.
Sure.
The fact that you can get the fact that all the effects, even the one that causes stun on yourself, is. By the way, if you play Lovable Misfits and Cor the Milano, you won't be stunned. So,
sure,
you did it.
Just
that's worth 2 Tactus cards and 2 power each on my characters, so I don't stun myself.
I'm just saying,
Wow.
It's a thing that
All right.
exists.
Parker, you're done. You're done.
I'm not saying you.
No more
I'm not
talking
saying
for you.
you should do it, but if for some reason you rolled a whole bunch of skulls and points, then you're like, oh shit, I just accidentally stunned.
You get to see if you stun yourself first.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, what I'm saying is, if you stun Angela, if it's Groot's activation, and you stun Angela, and you need Angela to not be stunned, you know this later for the turn, well, then you can then immediately remove it. So you're in a faction that actually can deal with it.
I understand what you're saying.
So
when do you play Evo?
I'm just trying to get to the point where we talk about relevance.
It's functionally everything is effective for 1 power. Even the thing that says you can do an attack, if you can't actually do an attack with a character like Groot with short ranges.
If you're within range, too.
Yeah.
The problem with this card is, you think about the list you're playing. because if either Groot or Rocket roll a skull, both of them are stunned. That is bad.
Yeah, so yeah, rolling a skull is not a fantastic solution. But in this particular faction, it would basically it forces them to spend a power.
Right. Also, if Groot rolls a crit or a wild, that's basically a no gain because he doesn't need power and he doesn't get to attack very often because he's usually not standing in melee range when you're playing this card. I would think maybe your opponent has like rushed you and run past all your other people and they're just standing next to Groot. Sure, it's possible, but more often than not, he's probably just going to gain 2 power if you roll that result. Groot and Rocket don't want to roll a hit because there's probably not enemies within 3 for the same reason. Blank or block, actually pretty helpful for them. And then obviously Skull is super bad because you're probably going to hit both of them if either of them roll it. So your two, in my opinion, your 2 most important characters for your roster don't actually like this card very much. Obviously Rocket loves the Crit or the Wild because a free attack on Rocket is amazing. But it just seems like the risk for reward on this is like subpar for those 2 specifically. Now, other characters like Drax and Gamora, if you're playing her, Nebula,
Angela,
all like most of the effects. Mm-hmm. And so the value goes up a lot with them. But I think, in my opinion, the reason the list works, and it's not just running at you with melee figs, is because you have the anchor of Rocket and Groot in the back. And that's such a powerful module and combined with the efficient melee and short range characters that you have. And so I'm just saying that this card isn't amazing. It's not always gravy, is all I'm saying.
I think that there's definitely a situation in which you're looking at Rocket and Groot and you're going, I'm not going to spend 1 power on these guys because it's not going to help them. And for that reason, Lovable Misfits is not. It's not a Cosmic Invigoration, right? It's not a Dark Rain.
Sure.
But the fact that it is, when I was reading the card the first time I read it, I was like, oh wow, so there's a really negative consequence on here. And I read it again, I was like, wait a minute, there's not a really negative consequence on here.
Stun's not that bad.
Especially if
your character already has a bunch of power,
right?
Or if they're almost dead. Like it really doesn't matter that much. Anyway, for the ratings, I give this a 4.
I'll also give it a 4.
I think this card is a definition of a 6, in my opinion. I think it's slightly above average because it only costs 1 power. It doesn't have any range qualification. It's super unqualified.
But how does this increase your odds of winning the game by playing this card? That my only argument against this being a good. I think you play it. I think it gets played. And I think it does good things. But this is taking up a valuable slot in your roster, and the fact that you don't know what's going to happen when you play it means it's not great. Like I think it's below average, but because it's random. If you got to pick the effect, yeah, it'd be like a 7 or an 8 probably, because it's cheap and you get good effects off of it. But it's like, how often are you going to play this card and like you didn't get any of the effects you really wanted on the people you wanted them on? Like,
to me, it would
the fact that you could play this and bad things happen is just silly. It's like this is not a powerful card.
So to me, it's much better spent as 3 rerolls for Rocket. Like I can't see because
the value is higher.
And granted, I played this card to good effect. Like it worked great when I played it, but in a game where usually the right answer is just do the throw, it's automatic damage instead of fuck around. Usually that's
in my opinion, the absolute best case scenario for this card is it's just Wakanda Forever. Like the absolute outside chance that you roll crits and wilds on everybody, it's just Wakanda Forever. It's like, okay. It's like there are cards better than this card in other affiliations that are just good. Like they're not crazy, they're just good.
Well, I would give Wakanda Forever more than a 6. I wouldn't give Wakanda Forever a 5.
Right, but that's because it's a 25% chance for each character to get Wakanda Forever.
But the other options are not nothing. Like, they're not 0. It's not like Wakanda Forever or nothing.
But it's not even that you need Wakanda Forever. It's that you know what Wakanda Forever is going to do. You can make a plan. When you go to play Lovable Misfits, like, who knows if your plan's going to get better or worse as you play the card. Like, it's just so crazy that, like, you can't control the outcome of this effect. That's why I don't want to go higher, because you can't plan around this card. Now, part of the fun is that your opponent can't plan around the card, but it's like, I need to get to that point. Lovable misfits. Oh, I stunned myself. Oops. Like, or it's like I get to attack. Well, that doesn't get me to that point. Like, I'm still not in range. Like, Drax gets an attack when he's not within range too, because you wanted it in advance. Or, Groot gets an advance when he has to stand next to Rocket, or God forbid stuns Rocket. Like, there's bad things that can happen, and the odds of you getting a better effect is more likely. But you're also like, so there is a good part. And it's probably more likely than not you're going to get a positive effect in general. But some of your characters have a chance of getting negative effects too. And some of the effects just won't do anything. It's just like, yeah, you're getting some reward. Yeah, there is risk. And there's a lot of mediocreness in the middle. Like, yeah, it's not expensive, but it's taking up a valuable slot. That's where I have the problem with it.
I'm gonna stick with I still don't think it's average. I think it's above average. I'm going to stick with my 6. I think that it's an above average card. Because of the way I think Guardians plays, I think it's a 6. I think they would appreciate it happening more than rerolls, I think. But the fact that you could turn it into rerolls means if you never get the opportunity for it to be useful, then you have something to do with it. I don't think it's a 7 or an 8, but I think it's a 6.
All right, so me and Jeremy said 4. Parker says 6. Moving on to Inhumans, we have Inhuman Royal Family.
So the Inhuman Royal.
We're gonna blaze through these because these guys suck.
The Inhuman Royal Family have its active card. Any number of allied Inhumans can pay 2 power each. Once this round, each character that spent power may reroll any number of dice in any one of their attack or defense rolls.
It's fucking phenomenal.
It's ridiculous. The card is so dumb. It's
one reroll each on
any attack
or defense, right?
It is. Yeah. It is super dumb that costs 2 power. In a faction that every character that's an Inhuman also rerolls 1 dice, so you'll reroll any number of dice and then reroll any 1 more dice. It makes one of your rolls that turn so consistent. There's like I don't know of another faction that makes as consistent a dice turn as Inhumans do because of this card. It's like there is not one. I don't think there is a faction that can.
There is. It's Cabal. It's better than this.
Yeah.
Darkreign plus MODOK and Magneto is far superior to these rerolls.
No,
I
don't think so.
It's not. Because
you're just doing it to one model with Darkreign.
Yeah, and on and like you said with Darkreign, you're like, okay, I spent the power on Darkreign, and Magneto attacked you once. That was it. Like that was it attacked you once. You dazed you.
I accidentally killed you with 1 attack.
Right.
That seems worse. I agree.
Yeah. No, it is. It's 100%
you have an
worse.
Unhealthy. You have an unhealthy obsession with hating Inhumans. That's what your problem is.
No, I mean this is a good effect. I'm not saying this card is not good. He just said specifically, it's like there's no one that mods dice better. It's like literally Inhumans do better.
I think
or not Inhumans. I think Cabal's dice mods when they want to is better than this.
So when you look at beam attacks, they've got some of the best beam attacks, really really good ones, and being able to do that with the beam attacks is kind of sick. Like Crystal's beam attack and Black Bolt's beam attack. Actually doing this on Black Bolt with his beam attack becomes crazy.
I would say
hitting like 2 guys.
And the reason why
Black Bolt's beam attack is just sick. With
still
that.
Only one roll. It's not both attacks.
Right. Yeah, the beam doesn't affect both beam.
Oh, that's true.
It does one attack roll. Yeah,
that's
it's
true.
just one.
But the reason why I would say the only way that Darkreign gets more mileage is if you're Darkraining exactly Hulk or She-Hulk, because you'll probably actually need multiple characters and multiple attacks over the turn before.
Or Thanos or Magneto or any of the characters you like actually need to kill.
But
or MODOK.
Magneto has 6 health. Magneto has 6 health. You will kill him.
Magneto has 8 health on the back.
Cool. So if Magneto's on his backside and at that point of the game you still haven't used Darkreign, then yes, Darkreign is going to allow you to kill him in 2 character activations as opposed to 3, which is going to be really important in the late game. However, I'm telling you,
clear, we're talking about literally.
You can interrupt me right now, but I'm not going to stop talking. The Inhuman Royal Family card is going to give you more, I think, in the early game with its ridiculous flexibility on top of a faction that already rerolls 1 dice always. I think it allows you to mod dice in a way that is for one turn mod, I don't think another faction can get just as much consistent dice.
So we're talking about 4 total attack rerolls, and one of them is on a strike because the dog only has 1 attack. I mean, so yeah, if you're using it on defense, if you're saying it's more flexible because you can use it on defense, then yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
But the attack dice mods are, I still say Dark Reign is better, but I can understand if we disagree. That makes sense. Like, I see your point of view.
Although,
But I'm just saying, like, when you need the mods, you generally need it in one place, and so Dark Reign is, I think, better. And like, when you're looking at, yeah, I need to kill something and I need help killing it, I think Dark Reign is better. Inhuman Royal Family is a better general card, but I need a huge amount of dice mods in one place, like, I think that's better.
I agree with you that generally, and I do agree with this actually 100%, that in this game, generally you're trying to remove one character in a turn. That's generally kind of what you get, and then 2 characters is gravy. And
the problem being that sorry, I keep interrupting. I'm sorry, but the problem is, like, okay, I need to deal with X. I play Inhuman Roll of Family. You get 1 reroll before your opponent activates at max. That's how the card works. So then your opponent goes and stuff happens, and then with Dark Reign, you can get at least 2 attacks on your target. Just straight out of the gate, and then as long as they're alive, you get to keep rerolling, and so its potential is much higher. This has a much lower floor, and it's more versatile, and so those are the differences in the cards. And so I can understand if you prefer this one.
The other thing that is really nice about the Inhumans specifically is, since they also all have the single dice reroll, you can get you can fine tune that one roll you need that turn from each, either defense or offense. I remember in the game that I played it, and I played Inhuman Royal Family, I was like, oh man, I get to reroll exactly what I want to do. Like, I will get to do my rerolls as I want to do it this turn, either on attack or defense. It is super, I found it to be super strong. I was thinking back to X-Wing days. This is like having Predator and a target lock and getting to use both of them, which is illegal in that game because of how efficient that dice roll is. That's way, way too efficient a dice mod. You can't keep just modding dice in that game. And this game lets you keep modifying the same dice, which is so strong.
Almost like they realized what was wrong with X-Wing.
Yeah. So I think that's the other reason why the Inhuman Royal Family, I think, is super strong card. Although I will say one check against it is it does cost 2 on every character that wants to use it, whereas something like Cosmic Conversion costs 3 total, and this one could cost 8 to get the full efficiency off of it, which is a bunch. It's a lot. So.
Yep. But yeah, when I was disagreeing with you on, like, this being the best card, I'm looking at it from the point of view, it's like when you have something that you have to accomplish and you need a card's help, I'm thinking about, like, who you're attacking, and it's like, yeah, if you're just having a good turn, this is a great card. If you just want to have a good, like, strong turn too, but you still have to have power on everybody, and, like, Lockjaw's the only one that gets an exceptional amount of power. I mean, this is a good, I guess we're at numbers. Sorry, you're waiting on me. Probably 7. It's good. It's very few downsides. The biggest number of downsides is there's only 4 Inhumans, probably.
Yeah, I would also say a 7. A 7 is probably where it needs to be. Sounds good.
Wait, hold on. Ronin and Beast, right? There's 6.
Oh shit! I forgot that they're Inhumans. Yeah.
Beast will have
so you
power
don't have to play the
it.
garbage characters. Then yeah. Beast will be fun.
And Ronin will definitely.
Ronin will have power. Yeah, you'll just stop playing all these bad characters like Black Bolt and Karnak and Crystal.
When Karnak's in the game, he'll be bad.
Actually, I want to talk about this at some other point. But have we seen so far a character that was printed on the art of a tactics card that hasn't been teased? That isn't, like, very recent? Like, I don't think we've actually seen them draw a character on a card that we didn't eventually get, right?
Mm-hmm.
I can't think of I went back and
the
it's
famous
like
one was
Carnage.
the famous one was War Machine on Drop Off, right? Everyone's like, well, when is it happening?
Yeah.
Well, we know it's happening.
Right, now we have pictures of the model, like we know he's coming. And then Carnage was another one, and Carnage is coming. Like, I think everyone on a card, I'll have to go back and double check, but I think everyone on a card has been teased or is very new, so we can't yet say they're not coming.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so Parker, what was your number on this?
I would actually say, in this faction, for its efficiency, I want to give it an 8. I want to give it an 8.
I know you do because you love Inhumans, and I knew you were going to say 8 when you said the name of the
Yeah.
card. All right, so 7 it is. All right, next up is Adelan Rising. Is that the way you say that? Adelan Rising, or is it Attilan?
I think
Rising?
you're Adelan. I think that's the way they usually say it.
Far away. Far away.
Just for clarity, I have confirmation it is Farley, and the second A is silent.
Okay.
Because in the audiobook I'm listening to that was written by Jim Butcher, and I don't remember who voices it, but he talks to Doctor Strange in the book, and he says he mentions Farley multiple times.
Okay, cool.
Unless, that random voice actor just didn't know what he was talking about. You're like what was it? I'm listening to another audiobook right now, and it's another Marvel audiobook, and it is the inventor used his soldering gun. And it was like, what the
Soldering?
fuck? Soldering? Yeah, I was like, ugh. It's like, what was it, Dais or Dias? He said Dias. Marsters did, right? Dias in 9 separate times he said Dias.
Every time he
Like,
said
oh my
Dias,
God,
I was like,
stop.
Dias? What's a...
Like nails on a chalkboard. Or you just didn't know what the fuck he was talking
For
about.
the first time, I was like, what's a Dias? Must be some sort of magic thing.
Magic.
Okay, Adelan Rising is an Inhuman card. Active, any injured Inhuman character can play it. All allied Inhuman characters gain 1 power for each allied injured Inhuman character. So
Garbage.
it's I found out when I played it, I was like, this is going to be a really cool card. It got me 2 power.
Nope.
Ta-da!
Yeah.
Like,
Well, even so, it's like, remember the last time your injured character needed more power?
Right.
Remember that?
yeah.
Pepperidge Farm remembers.
Yeah.
All right, can we move on? This is a 3 at best, right? I mean, sure, there's some times that this is going to be useful, but okay. There's already comeback mechanics in the game that don't take up a fucking tactic slot. Let's get out of here.
Don't require all your characters to be injured.
Yeah. Well, no, I actually
Step
think
one,
the way the faction
injure
plays, they have really strong rebound mechanics, and that's good. But this card is not required. It certainly has uses, but your fucking guys generate a lot of power, and their whole thing is power sharing. Why do you need this card?
Yep.
Anyway,
When I played it, it was a big lot of didn't matter. So
yeah, you're looking at it why isn't this anything else? 3, Jeremy, number?
3 is fine.
I actually
Parker?
give it a 2. It was very underwhelming.
That's
I'm gonna give it
personal.
a 3 because it is potentially a lot of power. Terragenesis,
Ooh, I like that
All
one.
right.
spooky rock ghost babies.
Wait. I'm sorry. I'm imagining the moment of Terragenesis. It's supposed to be a very holy ritual in their culture, and they're just like spooky rock. And now we welcome the spooky rock ghost baby.
Yeah. Well, you didn't watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., right?
No, I have not watched Ages.
Multiple Terragenesis happen in the show.
Mhm.
And it's actually a really interesting thing that happens because I didn't know Inhumans were a thing when I watched the show. I was like, holy shit, it's turning them to stone! I was like, oh my god, they're dying! And then, you find out later on Inhumans.
Yeah.
But, they basically just get petrified by this gas. And it's like, the end of Ghostbusters. Like, shit, I guess they're rocks now. We just move on. But yeah, it was really creepy.
So Terragenesis, any Inhuman character can spend 3 to play it on their active turn. And then you choose an enemy character holding a civilian token within 3 of this character, so they have to be within 3, and roll 4 dice. You deal damage to them equal to normal crits, wilds, and damage rolls. If the enemy character is dazed or KO'd by this damage, you immediately score 2 victory points. So it's another victory point grabber that will also daze or KO the person who's holding the civilian token. So they'll drop the civilian and you score 2 points.
Yep.
In a faction with comeback mechanics, yet another comeback mechanic. This time for victory points.
This is actually just a good card.
Mm-hmm.
The good card part is the 2 victory points. If you just play this to do damage, it's very underwhelming.
Right.
But if you can catch somebody, I almost view this as a better cruelty, right? Like, you're basically saying, oh man, I failed to kill you, and I really need that thing you're holding. Can I have it? And like, you play this, you're like, please? Yeah, so...
And
the problem with this
you just gain 2 VP on top of it.
Yeah, this is far better than the Counter-Strike rolls, because you're 4 dice, all damage counts. That's actually a good thing. So you're averaging 2, not 1 on 4. So it's actually pretty likely to do damage. And who knows, you could spike and do 4. Yeah, very good. Jeremy?
I like it for both parts of it. And even just...
Oh shit, I was supposed to give a number first. Sorry.
Well, I like it for both parts. Just sometimes you got those characters that it's very, very hard to injure them or to hurt them. And being able to throw those last couple points on with the crits or whatever, the damage roll is really good. Mm-hmm. And also, if they're holding an objective and getting it for 2 is really good too. And for a 3-point swing, that's awesome.
I was going to say, or I was going to say, in certain objectives, it's a 4 victory point swing. Like, that's huge. Big.
Yeah, if you end up holding the token. I'm going to give it a 6.
I'll give it a 5. It holds a tactic spot. I mean, that's a big deal. Like, is it as good as some of the other things? I don't know.
Unfortunately for me, the reason I'm giving it a 6 is... I think it's actually amazing. The problem is it's a lot like Grievous Wounds. You could get your hopes up and literally nothing happens. Like, it's not hard to blank out on 4, and it's like, even if they have 1 hit point left, you're like, I just need 1 hit, spend 3 power, play tactics card, 0 effect. And you're like, man, that sucked. Like, that's the only reason it's probably not higher for me. Like, if it just says, do 2 damage to a character with an objective token, like, this is probably an 8. But the fact that it can blank out is really, really disappointing for me. And yeah, taking up a valuable tactic slot.
Yeah, for a no effect at times is bad.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I have never gotten Grievous Wounds to have an effect in a game. I played it like 4 times. It's so dumb.
I stopped taking it.
Playing Grievous Wounds, it might as well say, pay 1 power to remove 2 dice from your dice pool. That might as well be the text on Grievous Wounds. Fuck you, Grievous Wounds. Hey, designers, Will Pagani, I know you're listening. Fucking reprint that card and remove the damage requirement. Why is that not part of the game? Like, how is it that I can play a tactic slot and choose the attack in which I'm attacking and I still can't apply Grievous Wounds? Get out of here. Oh my god. What a miss. What a huge miss of a tactics card. Alright. So, 6, is that good? You said 5. Parker?
I actually say 6 because of the opportunity. You may never get to play it. Like, you can bring it and not get to it.
Yeah, the restriction also, because you have to, as being Inhuman playing the card, it costs 3 power, which is not always easy to do if you're trying to kill somebody also. And you have to be with 3 of an enemy who is holding a... Actually, you know what? I'm going down to a 5. I didn't realize it was civilian token only. Never mind.
Only civilian.
Yeah, 5 it is. Sorry. Yeah, within 3 of an enemy that has a civilian token, like, get out of here.
Yeah, it's only
because you have to, like, what? Think about how you're using this. So I have a character that has some power. They're fighting an enemy who has an objective token that's a civilian. Do you attack first? Do you play this card first? Like, what if you attack them and spike and you just kill them? Like, I don't even get to play Terragenesis. Like, I'm trying to soften you up so I can Terragenesis you to kill you. It's like, yeah, I just killed you by accident, so this card does nothing. Yeah.
Can you field dress them?
I'm actually down to a 4. So
can you field dress them and then
field
Terragenesis?
Ha! I got you, idiot. Yeah. Can you do that? I have to check. Field dress?
I don't think so. And also, he would drop the token, so it would work.
I think it says allied. It does say allied. Yeah. Pick this up. Here.
You lay it on their body. You lay it on their body.
I play last minute. Hold on. Last minute save. Last minute save. You're still alive. Terragenesis.
Oh my god.
You can't triple stamp a double.
It's
all right.
7-step.
We average out at a 5 on Terragenesis. Wakanda Forever. I believe we talked about this already. It's like the good version of Lovable Misfits.
Yep.
All right,
so any number of Wakanda characters get to spend 1 to play the best part of Lovable Misfits. Each character that spent power may immediately perform an attack with a power cost of 0. And it has to be Wakanda characters.
It does have to be Wakanda characters. Obviously great, getting an attack. The most important part of this is a lot of the 0 cost attacks on Wakandans do stuff. Like Black Panther pushes people.
Shuri.
Killmonger has Pierce. Shuri pushes people. Okoye gets rerolls on her basic attack. Like, lots of good stuff. Storm, I believe, does shocked on her 0-cost attack. I think she actually has 2 0-cost attacks, right?
She does.
She has the ice blizzard spray thing, and then she has the lightning bolt. So yeah, all very good. Yeah, potentially getting, what is it? Is it 5? It's 5 attacks for 5 power is amazing. Well worth the Tactics card. Anybody else got anything to add?
I think it's a perfect
nice
faction card.
Yeah. It's also nice that so many of the faction members have like a ranged attack, and just so that they will get it, even if you're not up close, you'll get it. It's really easy to see it happening. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just the 2 4-pointers that don't have a range attack, and obviously, you know, you're probably playing Wakanda Forever on one of their turns, so it's basically guaranteed they're going to be in range.
Yeah. One of the her other 0, Storm's other 0 is a beam attack even, so she could even beam.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, probably a minimum of 5 attacks. For
Whole credit. I just realized if it did damage, they gain stun, so it's auto. It's an auto stun.
Oh, it's just on damage. It's not on.
Yeah,
wild.
It's an auto stun beam 3 on a Wakanda Forever. That's pretty good.
Not to mention, potentially Shuri can give you upgrades on all of those. Yep. Like, so all those have potential rerolls in addition to Okoye.
Yep.
All right, so numbers. This is at least a 7, right? It's in a faction that wants to use it. They have a lot of really good. Ooh, Parker's excited. I think a 7's good. The only reason it's not higher is because their damage output is not insane.
I think I'm going to let Jeremy go first. It's his turn.
Yeah.
For a faction that has a model like Shuri, I mean, like you say, you've already said it. All their attacks do shit. Even Killmonger, he has the hit you harder button, and when he does it on his turn, he gets to hit you with his big attack with extra dice. It's the perfect tactics card. It makes something happen that a lot of those effects are guaranteed. It's really cool. Anyway, that's an 8 for me.
Yeah.
I like it.
Killmonger gets Pierce on his basic and gets 2 extra dice because he's getting an extra attack. So you're getting, it's really plus 2 dice and a Pierce attack. And then, you know, Black Panther pushes, Shuri pushes, Storm can either shock or I believe slow and has a beam option. Okoye gets the rule. And then also, what's her name? Who am I forgetting? Oh, well, doesn't matter. We've already talked about this. It's great. So Jeremy says 8. Parker says 8. He's holding up his fingers. He's been doing this for a while.
For those
right,
watching.
8 it is. I'm very happy coming up to an 8. Very good card. Next up is Vibranium Shielding. The sad letdown of the Wakanda faction, but for reasons you probably wouldn't expect.
So Vibranium Shielding is Black Panther or Shuri can spend X number of power to get an X size bubble around them, at least one, no more than 5. This round, everybody, all characters and allied characters inside the bubble receive invulnerability, which is they suffer 1 less damage to a minimum of 1.
Yep. So the only reason that this card is not amazing is that I don't know. You basically never play Wakanda as a solo faction. I think it's actually very good, but it's hard to get that much power early and then spend it. So you don't get the power when you need it, I think, is the problem.
Yeah, I was gonna say, when I was so excited for it to be amazing when I played it, and then I looked at the board. I was like, I think I'll only ever get to play this for like range 3, maybe, and then so. What sucks about it is if you're playing on Black Panther because you want him to, you know, live longer, then you might just be paying 1 to give him invulnerability, because if anybody's up there with him, like Okoye's up there with him for some reason, then you know you have to pay 2, and now you're giving Okoye invulnerability, which she has only like such a low health pool. Like, it's like I was staring at it going like, wait a minute, and then you are probably never doing it on Shuri because why is she up close to people?
Well, but she wants to be fairly close for rerolls, so if you can get like 4 power on her, like if she rolls a bunch of skulls early,
that's true.
Then yeah, you can like turn 3 or turn 2, she plays it for like 4 or 5, then it's amazing. But it's just not reliable for that to happen because she commonly blows through her power early. But honestly, I think this card has value just playing paying it for 1 on Black Panther,
Right.
honestly. Like, just giving Black Panther DR for 1 power is so good because he can go stand on a point, and, like, that 6 health on the front becomes, like, 10, and it's punishing.
It's so hard to knock him down.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And, like, as Jeremy discovered, he's so good versus Pierce people because he succeeds on blanks. She was like, oh, I got Sabretooth. Like, Sabretooth does not ever want to see a Black Panther. Like, never see a Black Panther. He will never kill him.
Yeah,
So
I learned
sad.
the hard way on that one. Also, Black Panther running around with Killmonger, and then Black Panther sets that off. Like, that's one way to keep your Killmonger alive. Like, Killmonger will die, but putting that up, you're probably going to get an extra turn out of him.
Yeah. I like this card, but yeah, it commonly gets left on the cutting room floor. It just doesn't quite make the list. Because you're looking at Wakanda Forever is obviously in probably Usurp the Throne, and then you've got your 2 restricted cards. You got like 1 slot left, and so it's hard to not take one of the other like great winners like Inspiring Monologue or Recal or any other really good generic card. Or like, who knows, Hired Muscle, because you're probably playing for Scenario. Like, there's so many options.
Say, Inspiring Monologue on Black Panther is better?
Also
I was going to
like
say, is that better? I think it's better.
But it's less versatile because you have to play it with someone else. So you have to have another character have 3 power, which isn't always like guaranteed on turn 2. Yeah, it's good. Like, I love Inspiring Monologue, and it makes the list for me first. But yeah, I need to give it a try.
Does Inspiring Monologue
All right,
work on dodge rolls? Cool. That's one cool thing about Invulnerability.
No.
Yeah, Invulnerability works on every enemy effect.
Yeah, enemy effects. Yeah. Not bleed.
Not bleed.
Not that it would
Yeah.
matter.
All right, go ahead. Give it a rating.
Yeah, numbers. I think this is probably a 5. I think this is the perfect example of a 5.
I was going to go with a 4 because it doesn't do anything to win the game. I don't think it does anything to win.
Not dying is a way to not lose, though.
I don't think that stops you from dying. Black Panther's going to not let you kill him, period. Everybody else.
But with this, he's definitely not going to.
He's already not dying.
It does things they do more better, Jeremy.
More better of the goodness.
More better.
5 or a 4 doesn't matter. I'll never
Right,
play
Parker,
that card.
break the tie, Parker.
I will actually say a 4. I will actually say a 4.
You son of a bitch.
And the reason why is they're better generic.
Treachery, thy name is
They're
Parker.
better generic defensive cards for him.
Moving on. Dead to me. Next up, we have All Webbed Up. Let's try and blaze through these last few.
All webbed up. Web Warriors characters can spend 3. Each enemy character within 3 of the character that spent it immediately gets slow. And then any allied Web Warriors character attacking any character suffering from slow this round adds 2 dice to their attack roll. So, yeah. Damage buff
Very
and
good.
potentially slow in a bowl.
It has utility. It gives you more dice. It is faction tagged, though, so it is not anyone gets more dice. So big deal about this one is some characters like Thanos or really Thanos is like the big one. Doctor Strange and Magneto to some level. They have such good defense. Captain America is a great example too. Such good defense that they're almost guaranteed to stop a good chunk of your attack. And so Wakanda Forever against those characters has a lot less value because throwing 5 dice at 8 dice or 6 dice, even though like technically your dice are more valuable than theirs, is just such weak returns that you're really looking for the exceptional spike to happen for you to actually deal meaningful damage. Because if like Captain America with Inspiring Monologue, or you've got Doctor Strange pumping up his defense and healing, or you've got Thanos just being Thanos, or you've got Magneto with cover and 6 dice, like they're stopping so much that your average attack roll of 5 dice isn't doing anything. So what this does, instead of giving you higher quantity, it gives you higher quality. There's not a lot of cards that do this that aren't giant piles of shit. So, all webbed up, on top of a good attack already, you're getting to the 7 or 9 dice range of attack pools that you can repeatedly hit them with because it works on all attacks. That is very good. Like, just Miles can get to 8 dice with this card without spending power. Like, that's insane. Like, 8 dice starts punching through those really, really premium defenses. That's why I think this card is exceptionally good. because it's not just like one time more dice, it's multiple times more dice, and it's not like one extra 5-die attack. Like Cruelty doesn't do anything to those guys because they're not taking damage from a 5-die attack anyway.
It also causes your entire your opponent's pieces will never be close together because of this single card. They're not going to let you do that.
Yeah, the psychological factor.
Yeah, there's a huge amount there. It allows Web Warriors to fight, because without this card, they're not punching through anybody. Like, they'll nickel and dime a guy, but not many. This card allows them to punch up.
Yeah, for sure.
And so,
7? Conservatively, I think it could be an 8, but I want to know what you guys think. I'm going to go with a solid 7.
I think I'm going to say
you still have to be positioned for it.
Yeah, you have to be positioned for it. Your opponent can avoid it most of the time if they try, but it allows Web Warriors to play in different ways. If they didn't have that card, it's a single tactics card that allows them to play differently. So that to me brings it from a 6, because it's just a fighty card, right? It brings it from a 6 to a 7. Like, it really does matter. That card matters in the game.
Definitely, yeah. As a Web Warrior player, like, it definitely, you feel the difference when you don't have it. Also, there are going to be more Web Warriors characters, so it potentially is going to gain effectiveness later on. Because we don't know, the next Spider-Man being released might be more of a fighter than the current one, who's just a controller.
And sometimes slow matters, you know. Being slow sucks sometimes.
Yeah, I was going to say, if this was just a bubble of give 2 damage, 2 extra dice, I would say, like, that's really strong. But it also gives slow. I think that's actually the thing that's really strong, is it forces your opponent to deal with a slow also. So I like the rating of a 7 for this one.
You all webbed up at exactly range 3 and then impact webbing and push them short, and you're like, goodbye, and they're like, no!
Yep.
It's the same thing Loki does. All right, so next up, Web Barrier.
Okay, here we go. Two Web Warrior characters can spend 1. While these characters are within 3 of each other, they cannot be pushed, thrown, or placed by enemy effects. And while advancing, enemy characters cannot place a movement tool that would overlap either allied character or the straight line drawn between the characters unless they have climbing. Characters cannot draw a line of sight through these characters or a straight line drawn between them this round. So I feel like this card should just say they cannot be pushed, thrown, or placed by enemy effects. That's actually pretty good.
Yeah, this card basically just says 2 of your characters that are within 3 of each other can't be placed. Yeah, that's basically what this says. This sounds really cool and interesting. It does not work. The situation you would have to be in for this card to have value is just irrelevant to the game.
Yeah.
Like, you would have to be very far away from the targeting character already, and the 2 characters with the web barrier would have to be just barely standing in front of you for anything to matter. Because it sounds like, oh, you can't move, you just climb. It's like you're basically just saying you slowed my character. All this wording basically says my character is slow. What the fuck? That's terrible. Like, all they have to do is get between them. They don't have to get past them. They just have to get their base between the 2 characters, and then they can see you again. Like, it's so stupid. It's so easy to get around.
Yeah.
I think the best way to use this card
yeah.
is tell your opponent what it does and make something up that's way better than what it does, and they'll believe you because it's so fucking confusing.
Heavily ham-handed summarize what this card does. Like, Web Bear, you can't move or see through a line drawn between my characters. And they're like, what? And they don't explain anything or let them see the card.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, if they actually think about it, it's so easy to defeat. Put some models on the table and then look at it. It's like, oh, okay, blah, 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 all this stuff happens. Like, it just doesn't do anything. Like, it's so terrible.
You're like,
you would have to spend your entire turn setting this up and activating multiple characters for it to be any good.
So can I still go here?
I had the miracle turn. Yeah, you can have the miracle turn where everything is fine. It says you can't put the maneuver template. It doesn't say your base can't touch it. She just put the maneuver tool right up to the edge, and your base covers the line. And oh, look, I can see you. It literally does nothing. Like, it just says blocks line of sight. That's all it says.
Can I
they
punch
just have
that
to
guy?
move to the line, and they see you. Yeah,
can I move to there? Dumb. Yep.
Like,
can I hit that guy?
The fact that this card exists and also Shadow Organization is a card in the game is insulting to words.
Yeah.
Like, this is so dumb.
So it's
Anyway,
a 2.
all right, moving on. It's probably a 3 because you can't be
I was
moved.
gonna say it can't be pushed, thrown.
It's probably
yeah,
a 3.
You can only be advanced. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, if you couldn't be advanced, yeah, much better. But I'm going to go with the 3. Jeremy said 2. Parker,
I think it's a 3.
3. 3 it is. Next up is X-Men Children of the Atom. Sorry, we're taking way too long here. We want to get through these
All
today.
right, Children of the Atom. Uncanny X-Men character can play this card, remove all special conditions from this character, and gain 1 power for each special condition removed this way. That's it.
Who's giving out all
Cool.
these goddamn conditions?
This card is bad. Yeah. It sounds great. This card is bad.
Yeah.
It sounds great. I love that it's free. I love that it gains you power for effects. It makes it almost worth playing for the times that you're like, hey, you debuffed me. I now get power. It's like, where are you getting these debuffs? Like, if you could play a tactics card that said gain 3 power and that's all it did, it'd be meh. You probably wouldn't play it outside of like turn 1 weird shit, right? Like, who cares? Like, anyway.
Not my anti-Hawkeye tech.
Yeah.
Yeah. This card would have been good in wave 1. When second wind.
I was gonna say there are so many attacks in one of the only ways to get special effects in this game is by also taking damage. So by the time you've taken 3 attacks to get 3 special conditions, like you're dazed and it didn't matter. It's bad.
Oh wait, X-Men counter Inhuman super tech, Children of the Atom, unstoppable. Fuck you, Crystal.
Yeah.
Get rid of all these, get more power, kill you. And then Inhuman super anti-X-Men tech. Now that you've killed me, I get more power to then debuff you again.
Yeah.
All right. This is at least a 2, right? Maybe a 1. It's at least a 2 to me.
2.
So bad. It's so not worth a
It
slot.
removes special conditions, so probably a 2, but that's it.
Yeah.
So
it's definitely better than Heave Ho, but it's not much better.
A side note. Any of these cards that get rid of status effects, the problem is the game already has a really good mechanic for getting rid of status effects.
Called dazing.
Like, that's the problem.
daze
Like,
mechanic?
yeah, like, you know what? I'm going to make all these go away. You ready? Boof. They're gone.
How many games have you played where you're like, I'd give up a tactics card to not be slowed? Like, fuck
Never.
off. Like, sure, stagger sometimes, but guess what? When you're staggered, how often do you survive the attack? Look at the attacks that do staggered. Like, moving on.
I just play
It's not
all you
worth
got.
a card slot at all.
Just play all you got. I'll
I
get rid
love
of
the
status
concept
effects.
behind it. It's in a game where field dressing exists, this is not even on the landscape as a card that you can play. So moving on, first class.
Reactive card. At the start of the activation phase, an allied Uncanny X-Men character can play it. Each allied Uncanny X-Men character that does not have a power... That does not...
They do not...
Yeah. Each allied Uncanny X-Men does not have to spend power the first time they interact with an objective token this round.
Yeah. This is obviously the best X-Men card. It's okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's mainly good in scenarios that have double interacts, and so as an X-Men player, you can play secures that have interact costs, and most lists can't deal with that in early turns. So it takes them a couple turns to catch up to you in points. So if you get an early lead, very nice.
Yeah, it does a thing. They get to pretend to be Asgard.
It does
for
what the
one
card
turn.
says.
It's not a win. It's not a win harder card for objectives. It's actually a get started faster card, which is potentially really strong.
I would say this basically allows them to take an early lead to make up for the fact that they're not actually great at scenario.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna give it a 5, maybe a 4, probably a 5. This feels like it has value.
I was going to give it a 6 because it allows them to do something that then can win them the game. Without this card, there's things they can't do. They just can't do it. And this is scenario oriented, so it's a 6 for me.
So you're saying a 6 just because it affects scenario.
Because it allows
a
them
big deal.
to get into the scenario correct. Yes. It allows them on the
But
board.
there are going to be games where it just says you get 5 power. Or maybe not even really that, because you're probably only going to actually interact with 3 at most in a lot of games. Because if you just don't pick blue, then the odds of you getting an interact secure are very low, which means this card is basically worthless. I don't know. That can't be a 6 for me. I got to stay at a 5.
Okay.
I understand what you're saying, though, and I don't disagree. If it was hired muscle, it'd be better. But
Oh Jesus,
hired muscle works in a lot more scenarios than this one does.
I agree.
Parker?
Yeah, I think it's a 5 at tops actually.
Yeah, I'm closer to a 4 than a 6. So moving on, last X-Men, last affiliated. To me, my X-Men.
To me, my X-Men. So, a character with an uncanny X-Men leadership ability. So that's Storm and Cyclops. Right now.
Currently.
May spend any number of power to play this card. For each power spent, one allied uncanny X-Men may immediately advance short towards the leader.
So the very interesting thing about this card is it is hammered dog shit. This card is fucking terrible.
I was really
Oh my
excited
God.
for you to go somewhere.
You're like, ooh, something good about this card. They're eating it up. They're like, I'm ready for the hot
Oh my
takes.
God.
And you're like, what can I do with this card, Brandon? Shove it up your ass. Like, this card is fucking garbage. No, but in all seriousness, this is basically that we're sorry about Cyclops, and if you want Field Leader without Cyclops, I guess you can have it. Like, this card is so bad. Okay, so in all seriousness, though, this is probably the worst affiliated only card in the game, right? Name the worst one. Like, this card sucks. Not only does it cost a silly amount of power to be anything close to useful, both of your leaders don't want to be up front, which means you're moving backwards. So the only way this card works is if your list runs forward, picks up objectives, and then runs backwards. But that's not actually how this works, because that leader has one power. And so one person gets to come home, everyone else dies. Like, what the fuck is the point of this card? It's so dumb. The only thing that I could see is if you have horribly mispositioned and need to reposition laterally across the board, and conveniently, one of your leaders is on that side of the board. Like, that's the only way this is good. But, okay, just kidding. Storm's leadership is still better than this card by, like, tenfold. Like, this is just... You would never play this card. It's not worth the power.
Yeah, I think it was clear they were trying to reproduce Avengers Assemble, and they were like, well, let's do something a little different, and it just isn't the same at all.
If it was bad and not useful...
Yeah.
I also...
So
I actually, I 100% think they were going for the iconic line, right? To Me, My X-Men is the iconic
Sure.
line. And so, like, how do we make To Me, My X-Men actually be a thing in the game? Well, the character will just want the X-Men to come closer to them. And you're like, well, that's
So-
actually really bad always. And
This-
you're like, okay.
This card is a camel. Do you get it?
Why is it a camel?
So there's a team of people. So a camel is a horse designed by committee. If you guys haven't heard this concept.
No.
So basically, you get a bunch of people in a room. You're like, "What do we need?" And everyone says something, and you just put it all together, and you end up with a camel, which looks like shit but works. Yeah. So they were like, "What do we do?" Well, To Me, My X-Men has to be a tactics card. So they write that on the board. Like, all right, the name is To Me, My X-Men. What does that do? Well, it's an X-Men only card, so you write X-Men under the affiliation. It's like, what is it going to do? Well, it's an active card. They write active down. And then you just like, what does it do? Well, everyone comes to the leader. Okay, write that down in the best way you can. All right, we did it. That's a card. And they move on. Like, it's just like, there was no... This didn't start as a concept. It was a, how do we make the word To Me, My X-Men
Right.
a tactics card? And yeah, you did it, but it's dog shit. Like, get out of here. This card sucks.
Yeah.
Like, sorry, but it does.
Really bad.
There might be eventually some really obscure situation where this card is useful, and that's fine, but on the whole, what is the point of this card?
Yep.
It's just bad. Like, it's out of activation movement, which I want to say is always good, but like, it's so expensive, it's so restrictive, you have to move towards a specific character. Like, if Avengers Assemble was moved towards Cap, it wouldn't get played nearly as often as it does. And it's still better than this card because one person has to pay for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
That's terrible. Neither of their leaders generate a lot of power.
Well, I mean,
If Vision had an uncanny X-Men leadership, this card might be decent because at least he has the power to play it. If Wolverine could play it, all of a sudden much better card. But the fact that your range 4 characters are the ones that can play this card, like, why? And then look at the other people in the faction. Okay, we got Beast and Wolverine. They definitely need to run home, right? Like, what the fuck were you thinking? Like, maybe when the rest of the X-Men come out, there becomes a lot more options for this card. But as is with the 4 X-Men, this card should never get played. And maybe that will change, and hopefully it does, because it's a cool concept, but it is not function.
Yeah. Give it a rating.
It's not Heave Ho, so 2. I mean,
Can
this
you
card
play?
is bad.
Can you play both Heave Ho and To Me My X-Men?
You legally can, so you would officially accomplish losing if you did that. If you put both of these in your 5, you would have to be one hell of a player to win that game. I'm
Challenged.
just saying, like,
You'd be challenged.
Heave Ho
You'd be
plus To
challenged.
Me My X-Men, I defy you to win a game that your opponent is also trying to win. Like, I feel like you just would be so
All you
lucky
need to do is play Guardians of the
with
Galaxy and just turn it into rerolls.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can't. It's Uncanny X-Men
I know.
only.
I'm just
That's
saying.
why I'm saying. Yeah.
Could you allow me in my Guardians list to play To Be My X-Men?
No.
Easily a 2. Easily a 2.
You
Terrible.
mean play face down cards is what you mean.
I actually think it's a trick and a trap. I wish I could give it negative points. Because because at least
It is
Heave
a
Ho,
I've
trick.
saved up.
at least Heave Ho,
saved
you
up all my
can't like.
power.
At least with Heave Ho, you're like, well, I know what I want to do with Heave Ho. It will do that. This card is like, okay, I'm gonna spend 3 power. You're like, oh shit, I spent 3 power to make all my guys come back, and you're like, you did it, and you realized you fucked up. Like, I think this card is also a 1 because I wish I could give it a 0. It's actually like a trap.
How
It's
about this?
bad.
How about this? It actively offends me that this is a card in the game because of what I like to call the Parker complex, which is when your opponent takes this and they choose it in their 5, basically waste 10 minutes of my life throughout the
Yes.
game, them trying to figure out how to make it
Yeah.
work. It's like they're just staring at the board in think tanking, like, what if I did this? Nope, still doesn't help me. What if I did this and then that? Nope, still doesn't help me. And they're just staring at the table, internal monologuing all of these thought processes. Meanwhile, I'm tapping my foot like, can you fucking go? Like, let's do this. I will sacrifice a character if you will just move
It's like
a
that-
guy. Like, I'll just, like, take Punisher, put him on the side of the board, and concede him as dead if you stop thinking. Like, let's move
It's like the
on.
Zach Galifianakis
It's
meme.
not worth our
The Zach
time.
Galifianakis meme with all the like equations.
All the numbers, and it's just like To Me My X-Men, and the guy's staring with a hard face. Like, what do I do with this? What do you do? All right, I'm at a 1. This card sucks.
Yeah.
And it blows my mind because so many people have put this in their 5 against me and then just stared at it. I have never seen this card played. I don't
Stared
expect
at
I
it.
ever will. Like, the only time you play this is like you're teaching someone the game, like, how does this work? And you like walk them through it just for the fun of it. Like, there's no value in playing this card, in my opinion. It's so bad. I hope we get so much hate mail for this. Oh my god, I will respond to infinite messages about this card and be happy about it. This card is trash.
So combined, the X-Men
All right,
cards
so
are an 8.
I
If
just
we-
put a 1. I didn't
we
even,
combine 'em all.
Jeremy, I didn't even ask you for your opinion because I voted 3 1s, and so you have to vote at least 3 2s.
It's clearly a 1.5, but I'll take your 1.
I think Heave Ho at least actually fundamentally adds something to
Yeah.
the game.
Can we change
It's
Heave Ho
shit,
to a 2?
But it actually, Heave Ho can kill an enemy character.
Yeah.
That's
No, it's
true.
still 1. It's just this card is probably better than Heave Ho, but it is not noticeably better than Heave Ho, so it's a 1. They're in the same category as trash.
Oh man.
Parker, did you agree with the 1?
I agree with the 1. Yeah. I stand by my original thing, which is I wish it never happened.
I think anger management is actually a great comparison. We also gave anger management from the Avengers a 1 from last episode. I'm looking at it, I'm like, that's actually a great comparison because you know what? Anger management actually accomplishes a goal, which is get power on Hulk. It's just not worth the price of admission. This card does the same thing. You move a model in a weird ass direction, but you move them. It's like they were so worried to think about if they could move their models, they never thought about if they should. And then
Oh
all
my
their
God.
models are just standing in front of Magneto, like, "We got this, bros!" Like, no, you don't.
What do you think you should do? I don't know. Move them directly at.
Oh my
your
god!
leader.
Maybe that's what it's for. I can't believe I just stumbled upon that. Maybe it's to put all your models back where they were before Magneto attacked them. Just kidding, they're all dazed. What a pile of shit.
Oh my
All right.
God.
I think we've hated on this enough. That was fun. I had a lot of fun bitching about this card. All right, that's going to do it for us today because we've run super long. Sorry, Parker. No Comic Corner today.
That's just fine.
We got to get
Hell
out of
yes.
here. All right. Okay, thanks for joining us, guys. This has been Brandon.
And Parker.
And Jeremy, watch WandaVision.
Yeah.
Watch
it.
WandaVision. Last week of guaranteed no spoilers. And this has been The Gang Goes to the Land of Far Away. Goodbye.
Night.
Well done.
Hooray. Parker, you're podcasting.
Yay.
Yeah, I've been podcasting this whole time.
Still podcasting.
Do you guys ever listen to Jack FM when you're in the car?
No.
Do you guys know what Jack FM is?
Yes.
No.
So it's a radio station that was made on a budget as an idea. Basically, they just upload all of the music you would want to play on the radio, and they just play it on shuffle, and they don't have DJs. And so it's either playing a commercial or playing a song. There's no in between.
Oh, that's funny.
And so you have to listen to dumb people talk that you don't want to listen to anyway. And it costs them basically nothing because they basically just hit shuffle and go. So they advertise it as we play what we want, and so it's just random songs that are popular, but it's not like one genre. It just plays music, and so it's just like all the songs like of that got at least 4 stars on Spotify that are all shuffled together that aren't explicit. And so like I was driving to get groceries and it played Stairway to Heaven, followed by Poker Face, followed by what was the song on the way home? Sweet Child of Mine. So it was like back to back to back. It's just like, what is happening?
So the 2010 prom playlist.
Pretty much. Yeah, so it's just funny because it's like you just turn out, it could be playing anything, you don't know. It's like when you're tired of commercials on all the other stations, you just hit Jack FM. You're like, it'll be playing something. Let's see what happens.
Is that an internet station? Is that the deal?
No, it's a local station.
Really?
It's 102.5, I think, on the radio.
Huh. Okay.
It's a Kansas City channel.
No, I had no idea that existed.
Yeah. I personally was a huge fan of when we had a comedy stand-up channel.
Yeah, I like the
Did you know
comedy
that?
channel.
It was like 103.
Yeah.
That was awesome, and they got rid of it. I was so pissed. I listened to that nonstop in the car because it's like not the same fucking thing every day.
Yeah. No, that was a good station. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Did you hear they're closing the Alamo forever? Our Kansas City
Alamo Draft House?
Yes. It's dead.
Aww.
It's not coming
sad.
back. Yeah. COVID murdered it.
We'll have to remember it.
It shall be remembered.
I really hope that's what that whole thing was for.
Parker,
just
you knew that was coming, right?
I know. I'm just.
Did it just slap you in the face like
Yeah.
a dead fish?
It did. Oh man.
You're like, surely he's not gonna. God damn it,
Perfect.
got him. But they're actually closing the draft house.
Yes.
Hmm.
Yes. It's been closed for a year, and they're just decided not to open it again. That happened today.
Mm-hmm.
It made me sad.
I'm actually wondering if the Hy-Vee by my house is about to close. It's a brand new one, but like everything in the store was 20% off today. I'm like, well, that's not normal.
I was gonna say I've actually heard grocery stores are doing better since the
Because
pandemic
it's
happened. Yeah, because people are staying home more often. They're not going to restaurants.
Yeah, they're not
like
going
they have,
out.
Yeah, they have to eat food.
Yeah, there was I heard someone talking about the, people who are getting vaccines, and they're like, can we get the grocery store workers some fucking vaccines? Like, they've been only in the middle of it the entire time.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that like high risk individuals would be like number 1 overall on the list, right? Is that not true? Because it's actually like frontline workers are number 1.
Hospital was number 1.
Medical, yeah.
Hospital employees.
Yeah. And then after that, it's like old people, like as far as
So
I can
like
tell.
high risk.
Yeah.
They're in Kansas. They're now on teachers. I got my first vaccination on it was yesterday, and I got it. I did not get it through my school district. There's just right now you can get them anywhere. You can get a vaccine right now. You can get them if you are a teacher or if you are over 65. You just have to sign up when the appointment's available. So somebody sent me an email saying, "Hey, a bunch of appointments are available," because my district is going back fully in person for the the hybrid students, the students who elected to go in person, are going to go back in person in 20 days, less than 20 days actually, and so a lot of the younger teachers in my district are still not vaccinated, and unless they got vaccinated like this week, like in the next couple of days, they wouldn't be by the time the kids showed up, and so they were jumping on some of the ones they were doing. So I got mine at a Price Chopper in KCK.
Nice.
Um,
Yeah, I think my school district is going back to school like next week, like full back to school, is what I heard. All right. Any other cool pre-ramble stuff we got today? We're trying to keep the WandaVision spoilers off the podcast right now.
Although I want to talk about it because it's good.
Well, I'll say this for WandaVision, and then we won't talk about WandaVision anymore. The end is... No, I'm just kidding.
It is happening Friday.
We usually drop our podcast Friday night. This coming Friday, which will be the 5th, is the last episode of WandaVision. So we will not talk about WandaVision until next week's podcast, which will release on the 12th. And so you have until the 12th to be guaranteed spoiler-free on the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
After that, no guarantees. All right, I guess we're ready to just get into it, aren't we? Do we have anything else to do? What? We just lost Jeremy.
I'm back.
What did you do? Quit clicking on other things.
No, it wasn't that. My internet keeps fucking up.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. But that's okay. If I disappear, know that I will come back. Stronger than before.
All right. Well, okay, so protocol if Jeremy disconnects, because we're all on separate channels, just if you're not Jeremy, so me and Parker, will just be quiet until you come back.
Yeah.
If you're the one that's talking. If we lose you while we're talking, we'll just keep going. And then when you rejoin, just like wave to us and we'll know that we got you back.
Okay.
How does he wave to us if his video's
He'll have to rejoin, obviously.
No, if his video's off.
Yeah, he's turning his video back on.
I'm taking off my clothes.
Don't.
You'll know.
That's not the wave we want.
Oh. Got it. Yeah, I don't know if
Alrighty.
the internet's being weird tonight.
My computer's making a lot of noise.
I don't hear it.
Good. So I got this super fancy mic. So I got about 4 hours of sleep last night.
Why?
My dog has an ear infection, and he just decided not to make that known to me until I was going to bed at 4:30.
Oh, God.
So I had to deal with that. So I got to bed around 6:30. And then I was like, why not get up at like 10:30 and do my Alliance raids? So that was my day. It's okay, though. I had a Red Bull before the podcast, so we're in turbo mode.
It gives you wings.
I mean, I normally don't drink energy drinks, so usually they kick in pretty hard. Do you guys ever watch the what's the name of that guy's channel? He's just some YouTuber guy that makes funny videos, but he's like the Milwaukee guy or the Midwest guy or whatever it is, but he does little skits making fun of like people from Minnesota or Wisconsin.
Okay.
I've not seen this.
But they do one making fun of IKEA, and so it's basically they're in a conference room, and there's a third party guy who's just a regular dude, and it's like him and this other like hipster like douchebag looking character, and they're both like, and they're drinking espressos out of cups of coffee. They're like the size of the cups from Friends, like they're like bowls. And so these giant cups of espresso, and the meeting starts, and they're basically just being mean to the third guy, and they're like, man, we got to come up with an idea to make more money on selling furniture. And so they start drinking and they just keep getting more and more animated and over the top the more espresso they drink. And they're like, what if we don't build the furniture, we make the customers build the furniture? He's like, yes. And then he cracks open a Monster Energy drink, one of the white cans, and starts pouring that into his espresso. And you're like, oh god. He starts drinking that, and it's like, yeah. And then we make all the furniture out of styrofoam, right? It's like, And then the next time it cuts back to them, he's cracking a Bang energy drink and pouring that into his cup. And then they just keep going more and more and more. It's like, what if we named all the furniture Swedish names, even though they're not Swedish furniture? He's like, I love it. Everything will be like Frugentag, and nobody will know what anything is. And then he cracks a 5-hour energy and pours that into his cup. And he's like, yeah, let's do it. and then they're like, we'll build a maze inside the facility so you can't leave. Like, once you come in, you must buy furniture. That's the way it works. And then he's pouring like pre-workout into his cup. Like, he's like, I need more. And then they end up like writing so much stuff on the board that the idea board looks like the IKEA board. And like, I got it. We'll call it IKEA. And then
God.
Then they leave. Like, dude, let's go get drinks. You never see them again. It's pretty funny.
Mm-hmm.
So that's basically how I am right now.
Right. Speaking of funny shows, you guys ever watch Letterkenny?
I hate that show.
Are you serious?
I don't watch it, but I hate it.
Oh my god.
I don't get it. I just don't get it.
So, Jeremy, it's amazing that you said that. I am watching it right now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually something just popped up on one of my favorite when when they meet the boobs innuendo girl, and he and the whole scene is her making like obvious jokes and reference puns to her chest, and the whole time he's asking her, so you'd ever seen Hot Shots? Hot Shots Part 2? Airplanes? Like he's trying to get her to admit that she's doing this on purpose, and she's like, nope, I have no idea what you're talking about. And he's like, like I think I will say you can watch that show. It reminds me a lot of of Seinfeld in some ways, because you can watch Seinfeld for a while and just be watching it, and it's just something to watch, and then all of a sudden, like, something gets you, like something really, really good. Like, obviously the people who are writing it did a really clever people, and they created something really special. That's what Letterkenny reminds me of. It reminds me of Seinfeld like that. The show's about
it's like
nothing.
90% bullshit.
Yeah.
But then randomly it's amazing.
Yeah, most of the show is just the main characters talking to each other, which is actually most of the show of Seinfeld.
It's just
They're just
dialogue.
talking at a table. Yeah, just dialogue. There's it's very rarely a really zany situation.
Yeah, the deadpan dialogue delivery is what gets me. Just the way that the main character talks just cracks me up.
Yeah. Every episode featuring the Amish, I laugh crying. I tried to show the episode where they convince them to come to their house to help them build something.
Oh my god!
The whole time they're convinced that they're trying to convince him to smash. He's trying to convince him to smash his wife. He's just like, I'm sure they want us to breed with the wife. I'm sure they do. he's like, of course they do. They've been genetically bottlenecking for 5 generations. Of course they want new gene stock. And so the dad keeps asking them really strange questions that sound like they must be about like their genetics. It's like the way he's trying to like assess which one of them has the best genes. And so you can never tell if they're trying to figure out who is going to have sex with his wife, or if he's just making strange conversation. Oh, that's that whole scene is and the best part is all 3 of them are standing like stock still, like super rigid, like super anxious about what's going on. And just, like I like every time like that stuff is great.
I just watched, what was the one I watched most recently, and it just had me rolling. It was the super soft birthday. It's gonna be the softest fucking birthday you ever saw, where he gets like.
I've not seen that.
Oh my god! So the friend every year, because his parents wouldn't give him a birthday, so now like this dude's like 23 or something, and so they get horses. They make sure he gets a pony. They make sure it's like all glitters and sparkles and shit. And it's like the entire time they just call it a super fucking soft birthday. He's going to have a super fucking soft birthday. It's just like totally kid themed and silly, but it's like the most important thing to the entire group to give him a super soft fucking birthday. He's like, this is the softest fucking birthday that'll be in the last year. It's just, oh my God. It's a super fucking soft birthday.
I just don't get it. I just don't get the show.
Yeah.
I think that show is also a little bit like the fact that the style of humor is so different, like the style of dialogue is so different. It reminds me also in that not in a similar way of comedic timing, but in a similar way that it appeals to people, like Monty Python appeals to people. Like some people love Monty Python, like just they love it, and other people just can't get it. Like they just don't get it. There's this. I showed my wife Monty Python, went right over her head. I showed my wife Letterkenny. She's like, okay, that looks like a show. I'm just like, okay, I'm not gonna try. It passes by you like a ship in the night. It's fine. I'm not saying
See,
you're not,
I feel
you're
that
not
way
wrong
about.
to not like it.
I feel that way about Family Guy. Like I don't like Family Guy
yeah.
very much at all. Like it's the same joke over and over, and they beat dead horses in that show. Like now, if I happen to be drunk,
and then they have a cutaway about somebody actually beating a dead horse. Like
if I happen to be drunk and I turn it on, the little clip, like a 5-minute little snippet, will be hilarious.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, that's enough. Done. The show's done. It only has 5 minutes.
No, yeah, I can definitely respect that about a Family Guy. I'm not a fan of Family Guy, but I like outrageous, over-the-top humor, and so parts of Family Guy I will find very entertaining. But I don't, like, sit down ever and watch a whole episode. Like, that literally never happens. I don't think since I was in high school that has happened, which is, like, almost 20 years now, it feels like.
There's sometimes the thing that works in Family Guy that I appreciate about Family Guy, and the reason why I will still watch an episode of Family Guy is because every once in a while the show is very aware of itself, and I don't know if that's bad that I appreciate that so much. For example, Brian as a snooty intellectual, and yet he's also a dog. I do not know how many times they're going to tell a dog joke in that show, and I'm going to find it funny. I was watching an episode the other day, and Brian was talking to Lois, and Stewie just happened to be there, like in the scene, and Brian says something like, "I don't know, Lois. I feel like you could probably deal with something that could be." Like a psychosexual release for your tension. I know that Kafka said that you could relate to your inner self better if you understand your sexuality. And then Stewie, without breaking the conversation, says, "If you want, I can clean the poop off your butt with a pair of scissors." Just like he just says that, and the conversation continues. Right? Neither character acknowledges that Stewie said that, and that made me. I spit when I had my mouth out. I was just like, "Oh my god, that is so wonderful!" The dog with the hyper intellectualism, and then Stewie interjects for just a moment by saying, "If you want, I can get the poop off your butt with a pair of scissors." Like I'm just like, "Oh my god, that's so funny! That's so fucking funny!"
Oh my god!
So that's what I really like about that show is it's and that's also what I like about Seth MacFarlane. He can be really obnoxious, and the show can be really obnoxious and in your face. But it can also, like, he himself, I don't know if you guys ever listened to him. He hates the solemnity equals seriousness. Like, he hates that you can't be funny, you can't laugh about something and be serious about it at the same time. And so, like, everything that he's ever touched, Ted, A Million Ways to Die in the West, like, it's all pointing out how utterly ridiculous everything is, constantly. And
in
so,
a comedic way.
Yeah, in a comedic way. And I really, and nothing is sacred. Everything's touchable, and it's not parody as often as South Park is. Like, South Park has brilliant parody, but Family Guy does this really good job of making nothing is sacred. Everything's laughable. Everything's ridiculous. There's some things about Family Guy that I really appreciate, and I think there's a reason why Family Guy came back. I think it's because of that.
Yeah,
it died died hard for like 5 years, and then came back because of that.
So, side note and non sequitur here. I was coming home, and it was about 5 p.m. This should be on the news at some point. Across the highway, I see on the other side of the highway on I-70, some dude running down the hill and then trying to go across the highway during fucking rush hour. He stops.
Rush Hour Steve.
So he stops some traffic. He manages to get most of the way, and here come cops down the hill. And this is right by the Royal Stadium-ish. So cops come running down the hill. And then all of a sudden I see in the distance that there's several trooper cars, like, zipping up the direction of the flow of traffic, which is the opposite side of mine. At this point, my side is stopped because they're watching the scene unfold. And so the other side is stopped. And this is 6-8 lanes of traffic. I-70 at fucking... Anyway, I'm right there. This dude makes it across, and I'm like, shit, I locked my doors. I'm like, this motherfucker's going to jump in my car or something.
Is that close?
And like, he's right in front of me. So then the cops are chasing him. One cop slams his car into the guardrail, doesn't hit it, but just slams shut sideways, stopping traffic. And both of those guys jump out and chase this guy across the other side of the highway. And then more
Jeez.
cops come. Yeah, more cops come across, and people are just running across this fucking highway. And because of all the traffic stopped, I didn't see how it all unfolded, like the end result.
Mhm.
But that was the craziest shit ever. Like, this was rush hour traffic, and some dude straight up runs across. I thought I was going to witness a death. Like,
Mhm.
this dude I thought was going to die for sure. Then I thought I was going to watch cops die because they did it too.
Yeah.
Like,
They're just running through traffic.
dude, it was
yeah.
insane. So then I've been looking at the news all night, just waiting for that to pop up. And apparently in Blue Springs this morning, some dude got off work, tried to cross the highway, and got murdered. I'm like, good Lord,
Oh,
guys,
jeez.
it's a highway, folks.
Calm down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that happened today. That was crazy. That was crazy.
So the guy, did he look like he was like going somewhere? Or was he actually just like going in one direction, or was he going back and forth evading them? Like what? I trying to picture this in my mind.
Basically,
It's-
once he slowed the
I
first
think
one
he was
down,
just trying to evade the cops.
Yes, he was trying to get
just
across the
ran
highway.
across
Yeah,
the
yeah.
highway, trying to get away from them.
yeah, so he would
It's
manage.
like, surely the helicopters and the cars can't follow me across the
Yeah.
highway.
So he managed to slow the first car down, and then when the first car slowed down, everybody else started slowing down because something was up.
Mm-hmm.
And then he managed to get
And then
across.
he Frogger championed his way to freedom.
Pretty much. I don't think so. The cops had guns drawn. Like, they came
Yeah.
across the highway like serious. And again, the trooper cars came and like went completely sideways across I-70, stopping 2 lanes of traffic dead because they can't go through a car. And then they ran across. And then on the hill, there was more cops like watching the situation unfold. I don't know what this guy did, but
It had to be something. They don't chase you across a highway
No.
on foot unless you did something. So
yeah, it had to be something
Like, if
serious.
you're like, hey, he shoplifted a Snickers, like, nah, let him go. Like, I'll pay for the Snickers. Like, we're not running through high speed traffic.
Yeah. So I don't know. Again, it'll be on the news at some point and figure
Yeah.
out what's going on there, but that was crazy. And of course, everybody's got their camera out. And then because they
Yeah.
managed to all get across the side of highway I was on, I'm like, okay, guys, fucking go. No, everybody's waiting, like watching to see what happens to this guy. They want to watch a guy be shot or something. I'm like, we got to go home.
Yeah.
Like, go home. Let's go. So yeah, this thing unfolded with like 20 minutes of just sitting still on the middle of I-70. It was crazy.
God, I bet that shit was backed up for months.
Oh, dude. And like I say, it was right.
I-70's already pretty bad.
Yeah, it was right. Like, it was the Adams Mark parking lot, I believe, is what it was. That where they came off of, somewhere in that area. But yeah, it was nuts. Super exciting. So I almost got to hit a guy.
Why didn't you just run him down, Jeremy?
I didn't know.
Could have saved everybody a lot of headache.
Yeah, I get a free one. I don't even take it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know what happens in that situation. If you see somebody running from the police,
You just
and
plow
you
a car
run them
into
over
him.
with your car, like, are you a hero?
Got
I
him.
don't know. Like, and you're like, what are you doing? Like, I ran down the guy you were chasing. I was like, yeah, but like, he was like, just like laid on bail. Like, why did you
Yeah.
kill him? Like,
We were trying to catch him to tell him something. Yeah, I don't know.
yeah.
Got him. You're
I think
welcome.
there
I
is-
think you're looking for your
Yeah.
welcome.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Everything turns into a scene from Iron Man 2 all of a sudden. You're like, yeah, just hit him again. Like, what's going on?
I don't think the city would probably press charges, but the guy could, I guess,
Yeah.
if you hurt him. Like,
Yeah.
they'd have to.
I
Because
thought he
I
was going
know
to jump in
there's
my
been
car.
situations where civilians have aided in apprehensions, but it's usually like, basically the cop tries to detain a guy, he fights, the cop tackles him, and basically they're just brawling on the ground,
Mhm.
and then bystanders will come up and like help them restrain the guy because basically the cop's just getting the shit beat out of him. You're like, we need to stop this, guys. Like, we don't want to see a cop get murdered
Right.
while trying to apprehend a violent criminal. But like, I don't know what happens if you just like run someone down who's fleeing the police. Like, I don't know what the
I
protocol
was gonna
is on
say,
that.
I think I don't think you could use. I don't think you could use a weapon to help the cops. I don't think that, or like a
I
vehicle.
almost just spit taked all over my keyboard.
I just
It's like-
imagine
it's just like
a motorcycle fucking flying and you just like turn sideways, like drift it straight into somebody and just like step off.
Yeah.
The bike going 60 miles an hour into some dude. Got him.
You just like drop kick a guy off of a motorcycle. Like,
Oh God.
guys, I helped.
got to call your insurance company.
All
after
right, we
that.
should probably get started. That was pretty good pre-ramble about nothing.
Yeah, that was interesting hypothetical. I wonder if vehicular manslaughter could be, pardoned if it was.
I mean, obviously, I think ideally, because if you're already slowing down, I don't think you could hit him hard enough with the car to kill him unless some really awkward stuff happened. But, like, what if you just, like, take him out and, like, he rolls up on your car and falls down and then, like, he gets arrested? Like, do you get, like, a commendation or, like, do you get arrested? I don't know what happens.
And also,
Drink
obviously,
Dr.
there's, like,
Peppers with the president.
there's also, like, the whole idea of, are you, like, at a complete stop? You see the guy 100 yards away, and you're like, oh, here we go. And then you're like, and you're running him down? Or are you just driving, and you see him, and you somehow make the split-second decision just not to brake, and just go ahead and let it happen?
Well, what if you just brake slightly less than the amount you needed?
Right.
Like, just enough to kind of clip him.
Just to wing
like
him.
if you're a hunter, and you see a deer jump across the road, you're like, I haven't had a kill this year, and you just let it happen.
Yeah.
Like,
I got a tag left.
Yeah.
You're like, boom!
yeah, just like, is that similar? I don't know. I guess it's between
trying
you
to
and
kill
Jesus
him.
at that
Did
point.
Did you guys see the Grand Canyon episode of Always Sunny?
Mm-mm.
I'm sure I did.
They load up the car. They load up the Range Rover, and they're like, all right, we're going to the Grand Canyon. It's everyone but Dee. Dee's not going because they haven't told her. But they're about to pull away from the bar, and Dee shows up. And they're like, damn it. Like, now we have to tell her where we're going, and, like, she's going to want to come with us. So, yeah, of course. So they all load up in the Land Rover, and they're driving around. And I can't remember. I think, there's a guy riding a bicycle in the traffic. And they're annoyed because he's not going fast enough. And it's Philadelphia, so you speak your mind, right? And so Mac leans out the window and starts screaming, like, hey, a-hole, get the hell out of the fucking road, like, all this stuff. And the guy flips him off. The guy on the bike flips off the Range Rover behind him, blaring the horn on a side street. Like, it's like, what are you doing? And so he's like, oh yeah? And they're all drinking in the car, like open containers everywhere. So he's like, watch this. I'm gonna fire one past his bow. And he gets up sitting on the windowsill of the car, takes a full beer bottle and winks at the guy
God.
and nails him in the head with it. And he immediately ragdolls to the ground. And they run over his bike, almost run him over, and then come to a screeching halt. And then they get out. It's like, is he dead? And then he like slowly like stands up all wobbly, and then pulls a tire iron out of his backpack. It's like, shit, go! And so they drive away, and they drive, and then they find out that the in Charlie's words, you got a whole lot of bicycle wrapped around your drive shaft. And so they have to go back to the bar because the Range Rover's been disabled because there's too much mountain bike wrapped around the drive shaft.
Oh my gosh.
And then they take Dee's car to the Grand Canyon. And then, things like that keep happening. Tim, turns out you shouldn't throw beer bottles at pedestrians, I guess.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. That was one of the funniest episodes in real time. Like, it's not the best rewatcher of the series, but oh my goodness. That one, the first time you watch it, is just gold. I think it's a fairly early one, too. I think it's only like season 3. All right, let's get into this, guys.
All right.
I really liked the different podcast name every week, but I'm enjoying the catch line much more. So I think we're going to stick with this. The first 20 episodes were all just the alternate podcast names we were brainstorming when we were trying to come up with our name, which is why we came up with 7 names instead.
Oh god, yeah.
Yeah, it was
I actually really liked it at number 20 it changed. I like that too. That's good.
Yeah. Well, I have a couple more in the bank, but I'm saving those for a rainy day. Oh boy, I think we don't need a post ramble today because that was a doozy of an episode. And John's gonna yell at me again if we go 4 hours.
Oh god.
Yeah. Oh boy. All right. Well, let's get out of here, dude.